Hey everyone, welcome to Dialog Choices podcast. We're back. Christmas happened. It's over. At long last, the demon is vanquished and will take Dracula's back in his castle. He'll take another year for it to reappear again. And until then, we get, I don't know, depression and COVID. So how's everybody doing?
I got chocolates.
Like from Christmas or just in general? Do you just have chocolates on hand?
Well, as he was saying before the podcast, he is Portuguese.
What is it?
So it's just like a racial ability.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying. Keith sounds like he didn't
plus
get chocolates.
5%.
Just plus 5 chocolate at all times in your inventory.
What's the Portuguese racial cooldown?
It's once per day, okay? It's once per day.
Once per day, you just get plus 5 chocolates.
Chocolate.
I love it.
That'd be the worst fucking ability to have in an MMO. Once per day.
Would it? No, you're never gonna starve. It seems like a pretty good ability.
It's like good berries, but like a cantrip or something.
A fucking nightmare.
I would like to have. That'd be great. Getting chocolates once per day. Are you kidding me?
We normally have to like go get those ourselves or some shit. Like chumps. What do you think?
It could be like a cantrip, yeah. Well, not a cantrip, because then you could do it whenever you wanted.
You
Like
guys
a level 1 spell is just conjure chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys embarrassed if you go up to the cashier with a basket full of just chocolates and chips and just junk?
I haven't bought food at a grocery store in 5-6 years.
Whoa.
Okay.
I order all my groceries from the
Holy
internet like a
shit.
tech pro.
That is.
I've never done that
very-
before. It seems like that if there's anything that as somebody who's I've ordered food, which is enough of a mistake, like money wise. But holy shit, groceries seem like they'd have to have such a tax on them.
Nah, well, probably. But oh yeah, it probably adds about $20, $30 on top of anything else. Now that I think about it. Oh shit,
What?
that's kind of expensive.
Maybe you should go to the grocery store. Then again,
Wait a second. That seems like way overpriced. Why are you paying that much?
Well, it's $10 for like the delivery window, and then probably there's a
What?
tip for the driver on top of that.
I'm sorry. You say $10 for the delivery window?
Yeah, something like that.
What the fuck? I'm sorry. Why are you paying?
Well, it's like how
Are
ordering
you-
from
are you
DoorDash or
ordering-
something is like way more expensive.
Are you
Yeah.
ordering? How much groceries are you ordering per order?
Like $200, $250.
There's no fucking way you're paying for a delivery time. That's fucking criminal. They're charging you for a delivery time when you pay over $100 for groceries?
Yeah. I didn't really think about this until you made it sound weird, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually kind of
I've
fucked.
literally never
Yeah.
considered how much I'm spending on this.
dialogue
Whoops.
choices, saving lives.
That's
once again.
crazy.
And I'm a piece of
for
shit
me, it's
too, where
free.
I don't think about like how much I spend on the things that I have to spend money on. So I don't think that much about how much I'm spending on food, because I'm like, well, I have to eat one way or another, even if I'm not making the smartest
Right.
choices ever. But then I like sweat over literally any other optional choice.
Well, the other thing is also that if I use my Amazon card on it, so that's 5% cash back. This is such a boring fucking topic.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
This is life in the pandemic. Nobody has adventures anymore. They just talk
my
about
God.
the
Let's talk
about
processes
groceries.
for getting their sweet buns. Hey, speaking of boring topics, do you want to give your audience a channel update, Colonel, about the change in upload schedule and stuff?
Jeez, what? Wow.
Oh,
Speaking of boring things,
I
Colonel,
wanna,
why
like,
don't you
I
talk about your
I wanted to give
channel?
him a chance for it last episode, then I just forgot, and I'm bringing it up
I
now.
see.
Oh,
Because I noticed his
I kinda
his
know,
upload
but, like-
schedule massively changed, and I didn't see a video or like a community tab post about it. I'm like, maybe he could mention that in the podcast,
because I'm lazy.
and then
But that's
then
true.
you can continue to not expand upon it.
Yeah, basically, I got a new job recently, and I basically stopped uploading 4 videos a day, and I'm now only at 1, and that's the gist of it, really. It's I mean to go back to it, but yeah, that's the
It's
the
hard.
situation. It's been like that for a couple of months now, so
Yeah,
it's not. It's they've seen it. They know, Keith. They know.
but they're like, what's going on? What's happening?
Nothing terrible. Just
That's a big change if you're Colonel's RPG's #1 fan, most loyal, click every video boy.
Sorry, he just doesn't love you
That's
anymore.
me.
Yay.
He doesn't. He's turned on you specifically. This relationship is soured. He actually is uploading all of his videos to another channel that he didn't tell you about specifically.
all the other videos are private, just for myself.
They're just for me.
You've lost the ability. Now these are all unlisted. Good luck.
Yeah.
Unlisted. Good luck. We'll find them on the URL thing.
I upload exclusively to Patreon now. You'll only get it via Reddit leaks.
But the thing is, like, it's kind of a realization that I came to. The amount of hate I had for my previous job correlates, or rather, the amount of hate I have for any one job that I have at a one time correlates directly to the amount of videos that I publish.
So
now
the
that
more
I love my
unhappy
job,
you are, the more videos you make, just out of spite.
Yeah.
I can kind of relate.
I
I had my waterboard job, and like I had a shocking output of videos during that period, despite the fact that I was like gonna die. Like I would just come home, eat microwave food, record, eat more microwave food for dinner, edit, fucking render it overnight, upload it in the morning. I would literally come home from work during my lunch break to like set the videos live that had uploaded overnight, because back then you couldn't, like, you literally had to like put them all in one single queue and then just like wait for them. Like you couldn't do thumbnails and things like that and all the proper processing. And somehow I was making it work, and I it probably wasn't working technically, but like it's like a thing where like you hate the other thing so much, basically, that like you basically want something that you just like doing to some extent.
I think there's another aspect to it which is related to having a bad job is really toxic for. It's really bad for mental health, obviously.
Oh, it's horrible.
I say a bad
yeah.
I say a bad job, but I mean, just a job that you don't like, because there's no bad jobs. There's
no
for
good
different
jobs.
people. Also that, but yeah. But the thing is, you just convince yourself that this is life. Being overworked and not necessarily getting the reward that you deserve for the work you put in is how it is. So I'm gonna make 7 videos a day, or 10 in case of Keith. I was actually, there was one time or two that I published 7 videos a day for a little while.
Oh yeah,
and I was like just doing it.
Yep, just bad choices, and then everything feels like it's
How
like,
long was each video?
No, it was just the normal 25 to 30 minutes.
God, you must have been recording a lot to have that much content ready to go every single day.
Oh yeah, it's just recording as much as I can.
Real
at least
busy.
3 or 4 hours a day.
What
Jeez.
fucks with my brain is when he sometimes says that he like rewatches his streams and edits them, and I'm like making,
I
like,
do that. Yes.
like making editing decisions, not just like chopping it into episodes. And I'm like, when do you?
That's the life now.
When do you do anything else? Like, ever?
It doesn't take too long. I can edit a 25-minute video in, it depends on what I was doing in the stream, but on average between 20 and 40 minutes, I make a video. I edit a video. I mean, not too bad. It just means that I upload one
you're already
once a day.
making all those videos for a day, so it's so much.
Yeah, that's true. No, but not this time. I think part of the reason why I'm uploading only one video is or one video a day is because I edit them. I am a lot happier with the result though, because it's not so much that the end result is different, but it is. But that's not really the issue. It's just that I have control over it, and makes it more rewarding, I feel.
Yeah. Nightmare though.
I would do more editing of my own
Yeah.
videos, but it's really weird. So I do a video encoding at like NVNC or something like that. What is it?
Yeah,
It's like
NVIDIA.
GPU accelerated. And the problem is that my encoding it is really fast, but de-encoding it in the video editing software is really slow. So like even chopping a video, I don't know what it's doing. It's like probably loading the entire thing into RAM, and it takes so long
Are you using Premiere?
Just decode a thing. Yeah, I'm using Adobe Premiere.
Mm-hmm. I'm using an old version of Adobe Premiere that I was getting on my old job, and because I cracked it, because I don't trust Adobe updates. But so in my old job, I was using Photoshop and Adobe at home from home and stuff, and I cracked it, so I didn't have to deal with updates. And now I'm still using it. Don't tell Adobe. Adobe, I'm good. I'm swear. But I did try a later version, and it screwed up everything. It was terrible. And I think they dropped support for a bunch of encoders and made things different for at least my workflow at the time, which was a bad thing. So it might be with the version. You might want to try either DaVinci or something different.
This is carried over a couple different versions. But yeah, it's just a little annoying because like even chopping a 2-hour video into episodes, the bare minimum thing to do, like that will take me 20 minutes just because it takes like 2 minutes to decode or like do whatever actions it needs to do.
I would recommend you switch to DaVinci. If that's the problem, like those are the kinds of times you're having, I would recommend switching, because so the way I have my setup is all my videos that I record are on a NAS drive. And so what I do is I have for DaVinci, I have it so I have that NAS drive mounted as a network drive, and DaVinci just goes in and goes to that. I just have it go to that network folder, pick okay, I'm doing Halo Infinite, goes to that Halo Infinite folder. I import all the videos in, I can literally just slap it in, and I can edit the video immediately. I just can't see waveforms, so I don't have any buffering time. There's no I don't have to sit there and wait when I render, press play or anything. Instantly, I just don't see the waveforms until it finishes processing all of that.
Yeah,
that usually
in Vegas,
takes
you can just drag everything in and just start going. Although I usually am multitasking,
nice.
so I usually don't actually start editing until it's done importing. The only thing is I can't make the mistake of reflexively pressing Control Z or something, because then it's okay, I'll Control Z that right after I finish importing everything. I'm like, oh, cool.
I can
Vegas
do that with
stopped
Premiere.
doing things.
I can do that with Premiere, and it's just the new encoding thing that I've been using. Like if I use X64 or whatever, like the kind of the legacy approach, it's so fast. It's just the NVNC that's slow.
It might also have to do with either what's your graphics card? I mean, we're doing
it's pretty underpowered, and I was hoping
this
to
podcast was boring before.
Joke's on you, tech support.
I mean, I don't actually know what my graphics card is. I found it. I found this one in a dumpster behind a Micro Center. It had some mud on it, but I went ahead and just wiped it off and took it home and plugged it in. And no, none of this is real.
No, the elves installed it when he wasn't looking.
Why must you mock us so?
Because otherwise it would be boring. So anyway, so I plugged it in, and it unleashed an eldritch curse. It rolled back my Windows version to Windows 95, but I make it work.
Nothing more eldritch than older Windows.
Especially 95.
Yeah, I do remember that I bought the new Vegas at one point, not New Vegas, and I just wanted. I was having these frustrating performance problems or something. I'm just okay, it's fine, fuck it. I'll just finally buy the new Vegas again or something, and the new Vegas was I don't remember the exact problems anymore, but I just remember tweeting about it at the time because it was fucking unusable. I couldn't even on a basic level do my job. It ran so poorly and everything was so fucked for some reason. Then I went back to the old Vegas that I had been using that was 2 or 3 versions old, and I ended up just looking at YouTube videos and found a setting I could toggle that just fixed the performance problems I had in the first place that I could have done instead of buying the new one that was apparently unusable. I can't entirely remember what it was, but it was so bad.
Toggles for fixing things.
Dude,
Vegas is so weird.
Vegas has so many weird nested menus full of 500 billion things, and you'll find out about them via a completely random YouTube video that feels like they made it up. and suddenly you're just like, what the fuck? How did that solve my problem? Why was this a thing? Like weird things, like you can set Vegas so that it'll always be live, or like it'll always be actively I don't know how to put it, like it's actively footage. Storing and like keeps the footage live or whatever at all times, as opposed to like trying to go into sleep, sort of like a sleep mode style state whenever you click out of it.
So it just is like devouring your RAM.
It's like by default it just like it like tries to go into the background basically, like it tries to like free up resources whenever you're not actively selecting the window. But like I have so many pieces of media, like I have so many random images, and I have like the many pieces of footage that I'm like incorporating into it all the time, and then like doing the picture in picture of like your like Twitch stream rip and stuff like that, while also just like multitasking and being like, next YouTube video please. And it's like it would just sit there and stall for like 30 seconds sometimes, practically like not responding every time I clicked out of the window, then back in. And then I found like a setting that just like made it stop doing that. And I'm like, oh, yes.
Wow.
It's like, trust me, I have a good computer. I don't need any of your weird optimizations. I just want you to work all the time. And there's like been so many changes like that. Although I remember like there was like a billion hoops I had to go through in the early years that just like slowly vanished over the years. Like originally, what is it? Andrew will remember the fucking resampling setting where we had to.
Everybody will remember that.
Yeah, it's like if you use
setting
earlier,
that ruins your videos.
Yeah, if you use earlier Vegas, you always had resampling turned on by default, which left this like ghostly after image of the previous frame after every frame, and it must be designed to make like real footage look better in some way, or it must have some purpose because it exists for some reason. But it makes gameplay footage look terrible. So if you ever see like a weirdly, like I see it all the time in other people's YouTube videos, especially back when it was the default setting. Like I would see it in Game Grumps videos, I would see it in like video essays and reviews and just all over the place. And I'd be like, haha, someone left resampling on. Or like
so you've heard of it's there's 1080p, and then the other kind of companion resolution to that is 1080i. Basically the way that it works is if you have 1080i footage and you leave resampling on, it makes it look okay. And if you have 1080p footage and you leave resampling on, it makes it look like dog shit.
And it's so like, massively it's normal useless footage for like modern 1080p like 60 frames per second PC game like footage. Like there's no seams to try to like spackle over. Like you're just making the video really bad. It was so like every single
amazing.
Time
it turns into literal dog shit. Literally.
So it's like back when rendering
won't even smell like it.
It's like back when rendering used to take like a long time, and like you were trying to make your YouTube work, you make your channel work, and you're just trying to get all this shit going, and there'd be like random other problems. Like sometimes the editing software wouldn't fully like acquire the video or like load it correctly before it started rendering. So sometimes the first 5 minutes of the video might just be black with audio because it just rendered without the video because it wasn't loading it correctly, but rendered anyway.
Oh god.
And then you'd go through all these hoops to finally get your long render done to get a video going, and then after all that you'd be like, I fucking left resampling on, I gotta do it again. And it's like, it was so like I remember every time I rendered my videos before I uploaded them, I had to click through them all over the place to see if they weren't, to make sure they weren't like randomly black for a while. And that was just like part of the whole ordeal. And because there was no setting, I kept searching and kept looking it up online. There was no setting in Vegas to change resampling as a default setting. You just had to, when you finished importing everything, shift click the entire video track, right click on it, and then click to disable resampling manually for every clip collectively. And just remember that as part of your routine. That was just part of how Thing do. And I used to not have a daisy chain of like audio edits into my Vegas directly. So that meant every time I finished recording for the day, I had to manually edit the game audio and the my voice audio in Audacity via like a series of things I'd memorized at that point every single day for every single clip. And that was when I had a job. And I'm like, why was I doing this to myself? And yeah, like you used to not be able to batch render, so you had to render every video individually, and you used to what is it? There used to be no GPU acceleration, so rendering was astonishingly time consuming. Whereas nowadays, your graphics card can render the video, be using rendering the videos, which is a fucking exponential increase in efficiency. Like my job is so much easier on the technical level than ever before, even though I know more about it.
Yeah. I mean, back in like early 2010s, rendering a 15-minute video took like 45 minutes.
It was so bad.
For an average CPU. It was so bad.
Yeah, it's I only started rendering my I basically recorded and uploaded straight from OBS because it took so long.
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
Yeah, I made it work. I'm happy with how it turned out for a long time.
We had our first collaboration when we played Viking Squad with you and Bumpy McSquigums, and I was. Well, it's just memorable because I was the only person that would in a multiplayer session just like record the whole thing and just like go. But you guys like every 20 minutes in sync with each other, you guys would both cut your recordings and then start recording again and then do a new intro because you knew you were like live cutting over and over again, and it's like, well, this is an experience. I don't remember what I did.
I tried to do that too, but like I could never make it work in multiplayer.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's not great. I do remember that I do remember every now and then that was a running gag though, was that you would cut your recording and then be like, all right, this video is called The Bullshit You Just Said Out Loud. Then you typed it into whatever bot you had, and that would become the name of the YouTube video as it like auto rendered and uploaded or whatever. So you had like a thing down.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do the same. I still do that I do that practice now where I don't really edit. Like editing is in quotes, as in I just slap it into DaVinci to export it into a format that is palpable for YouTube to accept. But like, yeah, I pretty much press record on OBS and then just do it for a set amount of time and then be done with it. I don't have to edit my audio. I don't have to edit the game audio. Like all of that gets done in OBS as I'm playing.
Dream.
Yeah, it's just I don't want to. I don't want to. I have no interest in wasting like 4 hours of my life listening to myself, who I fucking hate, go through and play a game that I know I'm doing wrong, because as I'm watching, I'm like, wow, look how fucking bad I am. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't. That's someone else's enjoyment, not mine.
I used to wonder like how do editing mistakes happen in video essays? Like surely they would notice the part where they said this line twice for some reason and so on. And then I started editing video essays and I'm like, oh, I hate listening. It's not any different from Let's Plays. I hate listening to myself. So I'm literally doing like the bare minimum as far as like exposing myself to it, which is that I'm sitting through all the takes and I take the one I like and then I delete the other stuff, and I edit the entire video essay from front to back like linearly and never go back. there is no like proof watching like run, because I can't bring myself to sit through myself talking for like an hour, even if it's a thing I worked really hard on. And like so at most I might put it on Patreon as a test thing just before it goes live to everybody, because I also can't bring myself to be like, you friend, I would like to burden you with listening to myself rant about thing unbidden. watch this video.
You know better
sure
than to ask me to do that anyway. I would watch the first 5 minutes and then be like, yeah, sounds good.
Or like Stephanie or whoever. It's like, it'd be like, I don't want to inflict that on somebody. Like they can watch it if they want to when it's out, but like it's such a thing to be like, just to burden somebody with your video essay.
I imagine this is like, and this is, you know, why editors and stuff exist for bigger channels, is because like when you have something like H Bomber Guy's 3-hour video about something, I can't imagine he just sits there and watches the same video every day for 3 hours and goes like,
I do that.
Okay,
editors
today,
burn out.
Why wouldn't he do that?
Oh, sure.
Like,
I imagine that situation, you would cut up a video and you would say like 20 minutes to you, 20 minutes to you. You know, like you don't want one person hitting a whole 3-hour video. You would want like multiple editors hitting multiple sections of a video. So that way it just, because, you know, it's not about...
I do wonder, I think he edits his own videos, but the I know for a fact he does it in chunks, which is part of where I got the idea too. Was the like the first 45 minutes of his Deus Ex Human Revolution essay are on his Patreon right now, actually, and I've seen it a few times already, and that's where I got the idea. I'm like, oh shit, because like what I learned from doing the Annihilation video is it doesn't matter like how beefy your computer is. Once you're like, it's like I thought your video, your editor's performance was like based on like how much stuff was imported into it. No, it's like the number of like actions at some point. Like you take one 90-minute video and you keep chopping it up like the movie clip, like it's like the movie source. I mean, you keep chopping it up like crazy all over the place, and there's just so many individual clips of the same thing all over your track. And at some point, your software just stops functioning. At some point, and it starts taking so long to get anything done. So what I do is I render like every 8 minutes or so, I render the video out. And then I just and then I literally just start over.
Together.
I stitch them all together in the end. It also lets me upload each chunk individually to YouTube on a burner account, which lets me tell whether they get blocked, and I'll know which 8 minutes is getting like I'll have it rounded down a bit. Because a horrible thing about YouTube right now that I've learned the hard way because of the fucking Resident Evil video is that YouTube will just like block your entire video based on one random little clip out of nowhere, and it also will stop checking. So if you then fix that problem, it then goes back to checking and finds another thing it didn't tell you about before that you now get to deal with, and you just slowly lose your mind uploading the same thing over and over again. So I learned the hard way that you really want to chop it up into a whole bunch of videos, because then at least you have some idea of how, like, at least you can like find more things that will block the video faster. But it's just an actual headache. The Resident Evil video became a better video actually because I kept having to edit gags into it to cover up all of the copyright blocks that were happening. But it was like the worst like 48 hours of just like I just want it to be done. I thought it was over and it's not.
That's got to be some commentary there where the video becomes better because of bad capitalism.
Yeah, that's the struggle. It's because I probably like there's definitely a part of me that I have to curb that is willing to just be like, this took forever and I'm ready for it to be done, and so I'm gonna like put it out earlier than it probably should be. Like what is it? Like I rushed to record the Annihilation video. It's like today, I'm doing it today, and it was literally like I had 3 hours until we were all meeting up for something in multiplayer, so I had a hard time limit, and I struggled to set up like a camera rig, and like tried to set up purple lighting, and like try to set it up so it was recording in front of me while having a what do you call it, a teleprompter app on my phone, which I downloaded that moment. Like I had so little pre-planning, and I had a shitty camera, and I just read all the lines off of the teleprompter like right there on the spot, and that is like the audio I used in the final video, despite what it turned out the video turned out, part of that turned out to be like unusable. But I would just like go and like I try to fix that. I'm like, okay, I should appear on camera because I need to have like stuff to show during the parts where there's just not enough relevant clips to use, and like showing clips forever makes the video take forever to edit and so on. And it's like like at some point you're just showing random clips just to try to fill time. So I'm like, okay, for the Monster Hunter video, what I'll do is I'll print out my entire script and I'll try to just like memorize each chunk of it one by one, and then I'll like do like a kind of ad-libbed version of that live. I'll be like, it'll be like, it's natural.
Oh, that's so difficult though.
People were saying I wasn't natural.
That's what people end up doing. Yeah. That's like what ABGN will do. That's what Thought Slime will do. That's what Technology Connections does.
It's really difficult.
Thought Slime definitely reads from a script.
Really?
Thought Slime reads from a teleprompter. Yeah, they've got like
what I mean is like the pattern of like you have to just do it like almost line by line. But I had so difficult.
But I had this thing where I was like, I'm going to be more natural by like, you know, because I'm like a Let's Player and stuff. I'll just have like I'll do like a version of what the script says, but I'll do it like towards the camera with like while I'm not reading, and that'll be like better or whatever. I completely froze and couldn't get anything out. Like I just sat there for half an hour trying to start and couldn't do anything. And so I ended up ordering a teleprompter online, like a proper teleprompter that has like a cool like polarized mirror or whatever the fuck that lets like your phone reflect towards you, but then the camera films through the mirror and none of the script shows up on the camera, but you're looking straight at the camera because that's where the script is, and that's great. I had no idea how cool that stuff was. And since it was taking a while to arrive, I went back and edited the fucking Monster Hunter script and removed 1,000 words. Like the new draft was so much shorter. Like I both like fixed up a bunch of parts and rewrote a bunch of parts and ultimately like reduced its length by 1,000. And it's like, so that's
usually a really good sign.
Yeah, like that video is just better because I was forced not to put out the thing when I wanted it to. And like the Resident Evil video, it's like it took a while to edit. And I'm like, this is just supposed to be a silly side thing. Like I can't, it's fine. Like this is the funny clips, right? That's all I needed. And then it's like all those blockages led to me making funnier things happen just to get the video to go live. And so the video's better, but then God.
I've never heard a video essayist say, oh, this video was supposed to take a small amount of time and it did.
It did, Bird. My Zelda video, my special project of like I will write and edit and record and render and upload a video in one day. That was the entire premise, and I did it.
Oh, good job.
Granted, it was like a pre-baked rant that I'd already had in my head though, so it was like it wrote itself, and then I could just go. Still, and also it was over gameplay footage, so I didn't have to worry about all the fucking copyright shit. Video games are literally easier to review.
Which is probably why most of H Bomber Guy's videos.
Oh, I keep noticing things. There's trends you can recognize where it's like, oh, okay, H Bomber Guy likes to do like on-screen gags and show up in person, and then mysteriously, the moment he does Pathologic or Deus Ex or Fallout or other Fallout and so on, he's not on camera a single time the entire video. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, because you can just let gameplay footage run and you don't have to like fill the gaps where there's not a relevant clip with like your face the way that you'd have to desperately try to do when you're talking about like, what the fuck do I put on the screen when I'm talking about flat earthers?
Yeah, like I've seen his Fallout New Vegas video like twice or three times now, and every time I watch it, I try to like look more beyond just the like I already know what he's saying. So it's more about just like seeing the video at this point. Like, how is it structured? How is it formatted? Why is it the way it is? And like, yeah, and like there's a lot of like clips where you're like, what is going on here? Like, what is the point of this? Like, why would you have chosen this clip in particular to be showing at this particular time? And a lot of it is just like, it's a video game. What does it matter? You know, like you're in the world, you're doing a thing.
You hit a point
like,
where you can genuinely tell which parts is a relevant clip and which parts them just like filling space because they've been editing for 72 hours.
Yeah, there's like a point where he's just punching somebody and it has no relevant context to what's being said, or like it's not even in the same area of like the tone that, or like of the context he's talking about. It's just like it's content of his character punching somebody for just no reason. And it's like, oh, okay, sure. It doesn't matter. It doesn't ruin the flow of the video. It doesn't cause any kind of problems. It's just funny when you like stop for a moment and go like, wait, why are you punching that guy? What
his video essay isn't something like how Cazadors are a metaphor for communism. It's just he was killing Cazadors.
Yeah. It just, he wasn't like making any grand statement. It's just, he was just killing somebody. And you're like, all right.
Are Cazadors a metaphor for communism?
No.
I'll never tell.
Watch this video and find out.
Yeah.
I've watched it many times, but not like Andrew does.
Apparently not that much.
God, scripts blow like crazy too.
I will challenge you. YouTube doesn't keep track, does it?
I'm often like...
Track of what? How many times you watched a movie?
A video, yeah.
I don't know.
How many of these thousands of views are mine? 3,000.
I keep thinking like, why couldn't I even watch like one of those succinct writing styles?
So sorry, Keith.
I just keep thinking like, why can't I have one of those like succinct writing styles? Like, why did I?
Because you have to work for it.
Why did I have to come out like, being like Lady Night the Brave, where it's just like a fucking like we're gonna talk in exhausting detail for 2 hours about this thing, including a summary and everything. Like,
well, I think you're.
Brevity is
I think you're also. Yeah, I think you're also like really in the infancy of your channel to the point where like you haven't even it's like
Keith.
you've just picked up the brush and started painting. You haven't really even gotten to the point where you can definitively put it, like someone could walk by and say like, oh yes, I know that. That reminds me of Keith Ballard. Like,
but there's also like the part of you that wants to talk about everything.
Well, sure, but at the same time,
on the ground. And also there's the part where you'll see like these like people that make like 10-minute video essays on some channels, and I usually don't even subscribe to them because like it feels like they vaguely gesture at what the thing kind of is, but it's mostly just like repeating the general critical consensus in relatively unspecific terms, and they're not really getting at anything. And I didn't leave like any like I didn't really like leave with any insight on the thing necessarily, and it feels like they can be like astonishingly shallow by comparison, almost like you just have to just go and you just have to go. Like it's like it's hard to give short answers that are complete answers in many cases.
Right, it is hard.
I have the same problem with that sort of video. It's because the thing is, I also understand it from what YouTube incentivizes, and it just feels a lot of it like, because that's the thing about, you want to talk about everything, Keith, but you do know that it is better to separate one long video into two semi-long videos and talk about two things, because what YouTube likes is people to watch a long video essay, and then up next, here's another long video essay from Keith Ballard.
It's what Sophie from Mars versus what's his name? Fuck. The guy that makes the really long video essays and he doesn't use thumbnails.
I probably know who you're talking about, but
Jesus Christ. He made a 7-hour video on the Resident Evil franchise. Jesus, I'm completely blanking.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There was I
can look it up right now, maybe.
There was a random part of me playing Resident Evil 5 with Bird where he was playing in the background, and it took me like a minute to notice because it was quietly one of his videos was just playing in the background during the recording, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I gotta turn this off. So this somehow started playing somehow. But like, what is it like Sophie from Mars will like divide one mega essay into a series of like individual topics and make like a trilogy of videos about like The Witcher or Resident Evil, whereas this other guy will do like, here's my fucking 7-hour video on the entire Resident Evil franchise. Let's go.
I prefer it that way.
Reviews.
Yeah, he's a lot better than Quentin Reviews.
But the thing is, YouTube really will financially reward you if you do the little 1 hour and a half parts instead of the 7-hour part.
I previously liked some of the Quentin Reviews stuff, but like the fucking like mega videos he started doing, like I started watching the Fred one, and I'm like, I can't do this, and then he kept uploading even longer videos about similarly like things not my childhood that seemed like irritating Disney TV shows that I would never want to hear about, and then that's just been his channel for the last years. What videos I don't want to click on that are intimidatingly long.
Oof.
Ricky, no. Noah Caldwell Gervais. There we go. I was like, I'm close. That's the 7-hour dude.
It's not the right part of the name, as it turns out.
All of Noah Caldwell Gervais's videos are great, and he actually uses that time. He's really interesting. He is like the,
I hope.
I mean, he has like the definitive video on Kentucky Route Zero. Like it was like built for him. The game was made for him to talk about specifically.
When your video is longer than the game.
Yeah, it's an interesting market. It's really interesting going into the videos and just actually processing why videos are the way they are when you get to that point. I love that weirdness.
And it's something that nobody will ever know unless they do it themselves. I don't think they necessarily question it though. I get I've been thinking about I've been watching videos about Sherlock, including the one from H. Bomber guy, and I've been thinking about specifically my initial reaction to that particular TV series, and like things that I noticed but didn't make opinions on. For example, in Sherlock, there's one specific episode. It's the episode of that a Boomerang did it, and I noticed that it was bollocks. I noticed this doesn't make any sense. But I remember also like sort of shrugging it off, shrugging it off, and being like, yeah, well, there's more stuff happening on camera right now because the TV it's showing more things. So let's get right past them finding the murder scene in a dream sequence. That, yeah, sure, whatever. I did like it. I can't say, I'm not saying that I enjoyed that particular episode or the series in general. Despite noticing bad things about it, I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have if it didn't have the bad things. But the thing is, it didn't stick to my mind in a way that I could then action is not the word, but that I could then act on, I suppose, and just write something or make an opinion on. Just, I didn't see that scene and be like, that is really dumb because of this thing. But obviously the reason for that is because I'm not a movie or a TV critic, so I don't have that sort of part of my brain.
It's also the kind of thing that comes from paying close attention to something and repeatedly exposing yourself to thinking about it and like rewatching it, but then like you sit there and like process it for like weeks in some cases, and then you're like, hang the fuck on, and like, oh, that's what's fucking going. Like my I started talking about Monster Hunter basically as a joke because I was like, okay, all of the scripts I've started, they blowed out into all these different directions, and then they get into structural problems where I'm like, I think I need to restructure this entire thing and then write it based on that structure, on that outline, and then it'll make sense where it's all going and all that. But then also this or that one is like, this one's stressful because it touches on issues that matter, and this one's stressful for those reasons, and blah blah blah, and this one's like a whole show, and am I ready for a whole show yet? So it's like, fuck it, I'll just I've been thinking about Monster Hunter here and there. It's a dumb movie, and every now and then I think about another reason why it's dumb. It'd be funny just to like crack out just a really quick video on that. And then suddenly it became my longest video so far and so on. But like over the process of rewatching the movie, taking notes, and then also in some cases having things that you think are a certain way and then you realize you're actually wrong, like your memory warped the movie in certain ways, and then like and then going back and forth on that stuff, then like looking up stuff about the movie and finding out things that are happening in the background or controversy stuff and so on. So like it's like it becomes an ever evolving story where you keep finding more things to talk about, and so it just kind of changes things. Like it's because you're forcing yourself to look at the individual parts and think about them. Like the first time I watched Monster Hunter, I was like, it's like I like Mila Jovovich, and I like this. I kind of like the scene where she gets hurt and she like has to like be like, I'm a hardcore person and I'm gonna like do a cool survivalist thing to fix my wound or whatever. But then I rewatched the movie over and over again, and actually I'm talking about it, and I'm like, hang on a minute. One, the movie fails to have an establishing shot that even like successfully shows that she's wounded in the first place. So this scene comes out of nowhere, and you're like, why does she need to do this gritty thing to survive? And then you see the details of how the scene works out, and you're like, okay, one, she was limping. In what way does like sealing a wound closed with gunpowder make her stop limping, when limping is more of like a structural thing, like she can't support the weight? But then she immediately gets back up and just is walking around for the rest of the movie like nothing happened because she exploded some gunpowder on like a wound, and that somehow fixed her wound for the rest of the movie. But then you go the next layer deep and you're like, wait a minute, this is a movie where everyone's throwing around like Dragon Ball Z characters, and this is the only scene where somebody is like wounded in a way that really needs to be treated in a specific way. Maybe two scenes, but like throughout this movie, all the shit happens to people that completely unfazes them, and they specifically like go to greater details to show like bigger hits happen, and those ones aren't followed by being treated in some big like tense gritty screaming sort of way. But this one where they failed to even show how she got hurt is suddenly this big deal. And so suddenly you're thinking about the Resident Evil franchise, and you're like, hang on, there was this weird part in Resident Evil Apocalypse where like she fucking escapes a rocket, and then suddenly all of her fingers are snapped in different directions, and she has to like relocate her hand like together, and it's like this it's a similar like fucked up scene that the same director made with the same actress, where randomly she has to do like a Saw type moment to like fix herself up and be battle ready again. And once again, it happens like once in a movie full of situations that should call for that but don't lead to that, and suddenly you're like, oh, I got a whole bunch to talk about, like this is fucking 1,000 words, let's go. Like you just Like it's the type of thing that just doesn't land. Like Andrew might remember that I talked to him about in his garage about Sherlock, where it went from like a recommendation to like a weird tepid, like, I don't know, like more of it's out, but I don't know if I'm like feeling anything. Like I'm not sure how to feel about the show at some point. Like it was like slowly I was numbing to it because it has such a strong opening episode. And then over the course of the seasons, it's like harder to justify it, but you're like not entirely sure why. You're like, I don't know, the show doesn't like hit. Like I'm not getting like an emotional reaction to it, but it seems well made and impressive. And there's like a dissonance to the fact that it looks like it's clearly a well made show. So it must, because it looks like it's filmed and edited and so on well, then that must mean that it's like written well and has good characters and stories, right? And you kind of like, that dissonance takes a while to like process, and then eventually something so bad as season 4 comes out and you suddenly can't look away from how bad it is. And also now it like, you're realizing how the whole show was up to that point, and that's kind of what happened to that show, and it has not resurfaced. It's been like 4 years.
Oh yeah,
that's literally the description of how like Darling in the Franxx happened. It was like watching it live was such an impressive feat, because it's just people like parroting how great it is and good it is, and like you see this like hill that eventually everyone reaches where it's like, oh, it can't sustain itself being bad any longer, and so now everyone can see it's bad, and so everyone's going back and going, oh no, it's never been good. I've been wrong the whole time. You're like, no, oh Lord. It
varies, but for some, there are some people where, for us, we were the season 4 of Sherlock of Zero Escape. Where they got through they got through the whole franchise, and it was like, yeah, it's great, and there's all this hype around it, and it seems like it's good, and all those mind-blowing twists, they were probably justified, right? And then like they watch us go through them, and they have to like grapple with like, hang on a minute, is this whole thing really stupid? And like it wasn't until they saw us and are like, you know, a mix of good points and bad points because we're doing it live and all that, but like, yeah, some of the stuff, there's some people that look at some of that stuff and they can't shrug it off anymore, and they're like, hang on a minute, is this like Sherlock bad? Has this whole thing, has my faith in this franchise been a house of cards that is easily blown over? And there it goes.
I think Zero Escape, I think Sherlock at the very least has some level of technical competency. Zero Escape has that girl smiling throughout the whole game. Like, no, it is not Sherlock bad. It is worse. I'm sorry, Zero Escape is worse than Sherlock.
Game in an HD remake and still didn't fix the fact that the character who faces the most trauma in the entire game is continually smiling in every scene, no matter what, because of a bug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sherlock is better than Zero Escape.
Yeah, sometimes it's like, oh, they left that bug in for the speedrunners, but like, there's no excuse for this shit. It's still like, yeah, Clover's smiling through all these traumatic scenes because she's bugged out in the fucking like HD remake, and it's like, we're gonna put this on PS4, we're gonna put it on PC, we're gonna put it on every fucking platform, but we're not gonna fix that.
Clover is smiling for the speedrunners.
I think it works though, because it gives you it eases the tension when you're in a scary scene or something dramatic's happening. You're like, man, this is really awful. And then you like, yeah, and you look over and you're like, thank God that Clover's a constant. She's always smiling. Like,
look at her go.
She's like the rock that holds everyone together.
Yeah, it's weird. But
I like
it is true though.
I like to think it was there forever. Like that's just how the game was made with this intention.
They just didn't even see it. They were just like, yeah, there's that character smiling. Let's not say anything about that. It is true though that they're creating any work of fiction that is so high off its own farts that it conveys a sense of self-importance is half of the job. Sometimes it's just, it's easy to be fooled when a show. I say fooled. I don't mean to, like, it's not the viewer's fault or the player's fault in any way. If you like something because it made itself seem good, then you liked it. It's legitimate. It doesn't mean that it's good, but it's not. I'm not trying to berate Sherlock lovers. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, the point is that there's a lot of shows that
super Who lockers
pretend, as long as they can pretend good enough that they're good. It comes across as good, and
there's also like a really specific arc that happens where a story tells a kind of story where like it seems well made, but it's also consistently pushing the payoff further into the future. So it's constantly promising to do cool, interesting things. And like, what's going to happen there? What does that mean? And like,
Lost.
Yeah, the Lost does that.
Yeah,
Sherlock does that. Zero Escape does that so much to the point where the end of the trilogy is still a tease of what is to come next. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, just finish a story. But when you're constantly dealing with that Game of Thrones type situation where it's like, what's gonna happen? Wow, look at all this foreshadowing. It's really easy to get caught up in the perpetual hype cycle over the course of years and years and years, and just continually believe that the thing is good and it's going to be good forever. And it's definitely not just like wasting your time and preparing to just like fucking just trip and drop all of its plot lines all at once, which the Game of Thrones show did for kind of its own reasons. And like, and Star Wars did, and Zero Escape definitely does, and Sherlock massively does. Like, it just like, it's just fascinating how a thing can be entirely cliffhangers for future events. Like the people who are falling for it with Zero Escape are falling for it the same way that Sherlock fans did, where every fucking plot line, it gets to end on a high note because it's just hyping up what's going to happen next and doesn't actually resolve anything every game.
Yeah. The thing, I personally have a very high resistance to that sort of stuff because I built it. I saw the second season of Lost and I was like, oh, so this is how TV shows are made. And then anytime somebody's like, ooh, what's going to happen next? Don't care.
No plan and lies.
Plus, if you grew up watching Dragon Ball Z,
I don't like. I don't
you
like
had
Dragon Ball
quite
Z.
a tolerance for.
Yeah.
I
wow! Another
anything
arc
ever.
where a guy with 3 forms challenges the world to a tournament.
I did grow up watching Dragon Ball Z, but I prefer
sometimes
the
he only
original.
challenges Goku to a tournament.
What a storyline!
Most of the
But then
time,
they got to send out the scrubs. They got to send out Vegeta.
Yeah.
They got to send out fucking Krillin.
Most of the time, it's everyone else going like, "No, we don't need to ask Jesus to fight. We can do it." And then they all lose, and then Goku shows up and is like, "Wait, what's going on in here?" And then he just beats the enemy, and everyone's like, "Oh, I guess we'll never be as good as Goku." Like, every fight is just
No, Goku is Jesus.
Goku's just Jesus. You can't kill him. Yes. You can't stop him. You can't like do anything. Like
he did arise once
Jesus
again from
is
the
famous
dead.
for being.
Yeah, he's risen 3 times from the dead. Like
that's against the rules.
Possible. I mean, no, because one time was with a Namekian Dragon Ball, the other times with the Earth Dragon Ball, and the third time.
Oh my god,
it's so unnecessarily arbitrary.
Also it's always the thing where a franchise always has rules until the protagonist crosses them, and then the rule is gonna have to get out of the way.
Joke's on you.
Right, because the Namekian Dragon Balls, like, they can be reused or something, but the Earth ones can't. Because it was
Doctor Who totally had 13 regenerations only, and it's a time limit. Oh man, and we're coming up. Oh, Matt Smith's going to be the last Doctor because we revealed the War Doctor, which means that he's actually the 13th form. Oh fuck, the math's all weird now. Well, the power of one episode, that's gone now, and also. He was hundreds of other people before the first Doctor, and a lot of them were women and people of color. Wow, we retconned inclusivity into the franchise.
In the most J.K. Rowling
I think
way.
that's the important factor, is that all of the women and people of color characters were not interesting enough to get their own seasons. That's the lesson that we need to learn here from Doctor Who, is that those aren't important characters. Only the white British males.
On one hand, I was disappointed that in the peak of the transphobia controversy, there was an episode of Doctor Who that opens with the Doctor reading a Doctor Who Harry Potter book. But in hindsight, it's really funny because they went on because they were retconning inclusivity into their show without actually going through the effort of doing the inclusivity. It's like, oh wow, you learned from the best, huh?
I mean, that's where he was learning it. Yeah.
That's the world of Dumbledore is gay, supposedly, but you know, maybe this bluff might get called when we make a movie featuring Dumbledore and the exact person that he's supposed to be gay with.
So I don't actually know the full plot of Harry Potter because I've never sat down and wasted my time reading it or watching it.
That's fired.
and so it's not shots fired. And so
I'm just kidding.
I've actually recently been doing that because my girlfriend has like a thing where she loves Harry Potter, or she loves watching it during the holidays. And so I've had to sit there and watch all these Harry Potter movies. And I get that they're made for children. So I go in it with the impression
Young
that they're no, don't lie. They're made for children. And these novels have to be made, they have to work in certain ways, and so that it doesn't make it less interesting for children. But like, Harry Potter is such a bad series from start to finish. It's kind of impressive that people bought more than one book. Like every fucking time it gets worse because they add new, like the world building only cripples the story every time. Where like I forget which movie was it? I think it was like the fourth. There's like the fourth movie where the entire fucking movie could have been solved if someone just went into fucking Dumbledore's office and used the fucking device he has there all the time on his fucking wall. Like it just, that's it. The whole movie is people like, Harry Potter's lying. This thing isn't real. It's like, go to the fucking device that tells you your memories. And it's not trickable. You can't lie in the machine because we proved that it, just fucking use it. And it's like, no, we have to just say that he's a liar. And it's like, okay, fine. I'll just fucking sit here for 2 hours and let you do that. And then the end of the movie is all of the people that thought he was a liar seeing in live action that he's a liar because the bad guy's like doing a weird dance over his corpse. And it's like, what the fuck is this story? Like, he's just sitting there and he's like, fuck you, Harry Potter. And then just vanishes. And everybody's like, oh, he was telling the truth. And it's like, what?
I'm trying so hard to think of which one he's talking about, and I can't tell.
I have no clue because after book 3, I have no idea what happened at any point in Harry Potter.
It's whatever. The story he's talking about is like, I cannot identify it. And I know all of the stories. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't want to spoil it, but it's like the one where it's the one
it's
post
like
the Triwizard Cup,
right?
Whichever, I don't know which one's the Triwizard Cup.
4.
Oh yeah, it's the Goblet
5.
of Fire.
So it's the Goblet
4.
of is that Goblet? I don't know.
Goblet of Fire
the one that
4.
comes. The one that comes after that, where everyone's like, yeah, this what you said happened, that Triwizard thing didn't happen, Harry Potter. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is a magic world. Can't you?
Oh,
you have a fucking potion.
The one where all the fascists are ignoring him because they don't want to believe that Voldemort's back. And also the nightmare villain is introduced. Just the worst woman.
And it's like, it's every step of the way it's awful because you're like, okay, well, one, she literally asks Snape, who is my favorite character because he's such a fucking loser.
Alan Rickman is so great.
He's every time he shows up, it's always just he's either being unnecessarily cruel to children. He is just being the most disappointing human.
I've never thought of that.
He's just
he's so above and beyond awful. It's incredible. You're like, oh fuck, this is like some Matilda shit.
It's great. And like the one time where I was like, okay, man, this is kind of like he's actually taking pleasure in like being mean to Harry. Like he sits him in a chair and he's like actually just forcing himself into his mind and like ruining his happy memories of his parents or whatever. It's like, oh, it's my parents. Like, feeling nostalgic, Potter. And he's like behind his parents in a mirror. And I was like, Jesus, what are you doing? God. This kid has dead parents. Fuck off.
Dude. In Snape's defense, he did want to fuck Harry's mom.
But
that's not his defense.
No, it's even better.
What do you think defense means?
You do get that it makes it worse. It's worse. Right?
But it's better because then it pops all out and Harry's like, I don't want to do this no more. I think you're just bullying me. And he's like, you're weak, Harry. You can't do anything. He's like, all right. And so he just does the spell back to Snape, who apparently also can't stop mind control. And he like watches Snape's memories and it's just Harry's dad pulling his pants off with magic.
What? I don't see the problem. This is a flawless scene. This is literally like the best thing in the entire franchise is that scene. Just that fucking fight.
At Harry Potter, he's like, get out of my office, Potter.
I remember all this now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You lie.
Oh my god, this is so good.
Don't know what happens after the third one. That's the fifth one.
I said I don't know when stuff happens.
You bundle of lies.
He was asking which book it was. And
I ordered the Phoenix was my favorite growing up.
Honestly, after 4, like 5 and beyond are one book in my mind. It just becomes mush.
But a good point here is that fascist lady was like, Harry Potter, you're lying. And so she asks Snape to go get fucking whatever it's called, like Beetlejuice bullshit, like some kind of dragon cum from the office, and pour it down his mouth and make him it forces him to. It forces him to tell the truth. Like, they do it to the fucking handicap old man, who I guess was just Doctor Who all along. But they
the part where fucking David Tennant shows up and he keeps licking stuff.
Yeah, he's like licking his lips all the time, which is a weird tick to have when you're trying to pretend to be someone else. I was like, could you just keep your tongue in your mouth for like 3 seconds? Like, he like keeps making it, like, what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah, no, they totally made him do a weird snake tongue thing for some reason.
Yeah. But he literally does it to his dad, who's the only person who knows he has the tick and would be like, wait a second, that's my son. Like, he's the only one who would know, and he does it directly to his face, like he just wants to get caught for some reason. It's the weirdest. Again, this has to be written for children, because who the fuck would act that stupid? But it's fine. But they have this secret sauce that can make you tell the truth. And at no fucking point does a council of 28 fucking incredibly old people sitting in a room that looks poorly maintained just decide they're like, bring out the dragon cum and make him tell the truth. Like, they don't do that. They just like taking it on the word of some old man in a shitty hat. Like, what is the point? What's the fucking point of your entire stupid society if you can't even use the tools in it? Like, at all. What's the point?
Bring out the dragon cum.
It's so weird. And then, like,
somebody show up with buckets.
And so all of this, this entire movie could not have happened if you had just used this, like, 7 different magic devices that force people to tell you the honest truth.
I mean, we're talking about a franchise that made the mistake of introducing time travel in the third story.
I'm aware, but that's so. Again, it keeps getting worse is the problem. Like, you have this time travel thing, and you're like, wow, this is really bad. You kind of like, I can't believe there's 7 movies. How did you fuck up already? And then it gets worse, and you're like, wait a second, now you just don't have an excuse at all. Like, you just wanted to add something cool to the third movie. Now you're just lazy. Like, you just are willfully ignoring the world so that you can have a plot exist. And it's not like the way that, well, if no bad things happen, then a story can't happen. This is literally like willful ignorance of the world you live in. Like, there's no, if she literally asks for this fucking serum, and at no point does she fucking ask him to just be honest about Voldemort. Like, at any point, she could have just been like, you know, Harry, instead of making you write on your own hand with a quill, I could just ask you under a potion if you're lying, and you would be not lying to me, I guess. Like, no, it would make more sense to just enact fascism in a magic world.
Well, I mean,
that's fine.
So the rant is funny, but she works for Voldemort. That's why she's proving it.
No, duh, Keith. Everyone who goes to the fucking dark arts wizardry is a fucking... God, what a fucking dumb department. Like, it's a honeypot. It's literally a fucking honeypot department. It fucking, every movie, it's like, all right, students, welcome back from summer vacation. We have a new person in the dark arts. I swear this one's not working for Voldemort. It's this person. And then the end of the movie's like, I was working for Voldemort. Why the fuck do I hire people for the dark arts? Like, it's such a weird, like, why are you here?
The second and third people were not working for Voldemort. I can't remember all of them in a row, but the second one was just an asshole fraud that was just lying his way into the job and didn't know what he was doing. And the third one is Lupin, the most precious character in the entire franchise. And he does not deserve this kind of slander.
No slander shall be had on Lupin.
But he's also a dangerous werewolf, so he should not have been working with children.
Okay, some slander.
Every person who fills this position, every person who fills this position does not need to be here. And I'm kind of at this point, like, movie 5 has told me shown me explicitly that literally at no point will these children be successful in fighting Voldemort. Like, never. It will never happen. The only way that this works is because there's one guy who's strong enough to deal with it. But these fucking kids are dead in the water. They will never succeed in life. They are just a whole bunch of pillars that Harry can stand on to be tall enough to face Voldemort. Like, they are worthless.
There's been like a collapsing of people's like belief in J.K. Rowling as an author, like even before the recent controversy stuff.
So bad.
And like, in all honesty, like I do still enjoy the original 7 books and their movies. Like I have a good time with them, and they're not like egregious.
But they
except
were
for
written by
Hatsune
Miku.
Except there's a handful of like distressing inclusions, like Cho Chang's name and the entire concept of goblins. Like there's there's some stuff where you're like, amazing. Okay, man, maybe don't. But it's like, I don't know. I'm used to watching Star Trek, and Star Trek's full of all sorts of like, wow, that's a choice you made, huh? There's some real iffy choices throughout all of Star Trek that you have kind of, you're like, well, another ghost rape scene, huh? That's a
nope. Oof. I do not have. I have no childhood obligation to let anything pass by. I will burn it all down if I have to.
But it does lead to a bit of a one-noteness when you have the same reaction to every piece of media that isn't the 3 anime you like.
Stop making it bad. It's not my fault. I'm not the one making ghost rape.
What happened is season 4 of Sherlock essentially happened in the form of the Crimes of Grindelwald, which was like I bought the screenplay because after I watched Fantastic Beasts, I bought the screenplay and read it and so on, and just kind of like it helps like cement the story and so on, and you kind of have fun with it because she has like a sort of like page turner friendly kind of writing that's like enjoyable to read. But Crimes of Grindelwald, I bought the hardcover screenplay before the movie came out, and then I never saw the movie because the script was so fucking awful that I could not get through it. I'm like, we're going to be hearing things in a few weeks when this movie's out and everyone is seeing it. I'm like, here fucking
I saw it, yeah. I saw that in theaters and I felt bad because I was like, wait, I swear I watched this movie, but I don't remember anything of this.
Oh yeah, because the movie where almost nothing happens, but scenes keep happening in rapid fire. But no, the canary in the coal mine before that was the Cursed Child, the stage play, which like you couldn't hear anything about it for a long time. All you heard about was there was a black actress playing Hermione, and that was for some reason a thing worth talking about. Even though like stage plays constantly like gender and race swap all the characters because that's just part of the culture of how that works. But you know,
they just
the anti-SJW YouTubers had there was blood in the water that week, like there always is, and like we're going to use this because that's what we do. And then
it's for the SJWs. Dang it, Harry Potter's gone now.
When not white men, it's always like this must be a plot, we're gonna out it for our very depressingly manipulatable audience. But no, that movie or that's because I have the script because I have not seen a play since I was a kid. I mean, I don't even know how you would see that one, but it was so
Ticketmaster
fucking awful because of all the mistakes to make. She brings back the time turner from the 3rd book. And it becomes this whole thing where the plot of Cursed Child is that they regret the death of Cedric Diggory in the 4th book / movie at the end of the Triwizard Tournament when Voldemort kills him. So it's like this thing where it's like I hate. It's like you Albus Sirius Potter, child of Harry Potter. I hate your family because your family let my son die, and we blame you still. Fucking Sirius Albus or Albus Sirius Potter, whichever one he's named after, because he's named after both of them, and I don't know what order they're in because it's too many first names. He fucking like steals the time turner. And together with like Malfoy's son, who's like a little nerd, and they time travel back in time to try to save the life of Cedric
Edward
Diggory,
Cullen.
and they end up fucking up the entire timeline so that all the Nazis won this time. Like this now, the Death Eaters run Hogwarts, and like everything's evil and fascist. He completely undoes all of the good that happened in the original movies, and like now the bad guys are in power because he completely fucked over the timeline. And
Wait,
they like delete.
sorry. How did do you literally mean like the Nazis won? Because this takes place post World
No,
War II.
I mean
would they just...
Well, they didn't introduce real Nazis into the storyline until Grindelwald. But in Cursed Child, like the Death Eaters win, starting in like the 4th movie. They completely fuck everything over, and it just becomes this mess. And I can't remember the specifics that well, but like it was an awful story. Like it was so badly put together and introduced a billion new plot holes and not accomplishing much in the end at all.
Like it's funny because no matter what, like, so the Triwizard Tournament obviously was rigged from the start, and no matter what would have happened, Vampire Boy would have had to he would have died regardless. Like there's no outcome where he didn't die. So like Harry couldn't have done, like there's no change that Harry could have done to like prevent the death. Like again, this is something you could take the time machine and just go back and watch that moment when they won the cup, and you could have saw like, oh shit, like it's not like we could do anything to stop that. Like he was gonna win. Either he was gonna be nice and let Harry help him with the win, or he was gonna take the cup for himself and then just be alone with Voldemort. Or I guess what was the guy's name? Wormstrom? Worm butt. Everyone has like the worst fucking name. Willie. I don't know. It's fine. Whatever. The guy.
Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs. It's Wormtail.
Wormtail. I don't know. The guy who had like a little. He had a little Muppet in his hand.
Making.
I don't know. It's the guy who like.
That Harry Potter is a special.
He starts like a witch's brew and just tosses in Puppet Voldemort in there. There's like this little brew happening, and he's like, "Toss me in," and he like throws this.
Oh, the one where he cuts his arm off.
Yeah, he throws this little naked Muppet Voldemort inside of the boiling water, and he doesn't float up. He just sinks to the bottom.
Have you been holding all this in? Like, are you like being really quiet while your girlfriend like pleasantly loves these movies, and you're just like, wow,
he's finally letting it out, yeah.
Or are you
God,
like,
no,
are you completely insufferable the whole time?
I was dying when he did that. When he just yeeted him, I was like, wow, he just killed the Dark Lord himself. Good fucking job. Like, drown the damn thing in the fucking pot.
Yeah, but like, are you losing your shit the whole time? And she's just like,
yes.
Drew.
God, it is so stupid. I told her, I was like, I don't think it's a good idea. I'm happy you can watch Harry Potter. I'll sit in the room and just be a person alone while you watch Harry Potter and have fun. But it's like, I don't think it's made for me. I think I'm the worst person to watch Harry Potter. Like it cannot be a good movie for me to witness. And she's like, no, I want you to watch it. And she's like, this is so dumb. Every like even the wizard fights are boring, which is impressive because like you would think of all the things, magic fights would be fucking cool to watch. But one, it's fucking gross. Like whenever anyone fights Voldemort, cum just gets on the floor everywhere. And I fucking hate it. It is so gross. I don't know where it's coming from or who's doing the cumming, but it's everywhere. Like Harry and Voldemort.
These.
Andrew describes Harry Potter the way that Colonel describes Star Wars.
Seriously, it's like they're all doing they're whatever. I don't know what you call that. It's like the thing in Dragon Ball Z when like Goku shoots his Kamehameha and someone else is like, I could do that too, and they shoot a Kamehameha and they're like pushing it together. And it's like one of these is good, but instead of it being cool like it is in Dragon Ball Z,
harder and somehow wins like the stalemate.
Yeah. But instead of it being like cool like it normally is, it's like in Harry Potter,
cool.
it's like it's super cool.
It's so boring.
It's always awesome, except for in Harry Potter where it's like it's happening, but while it's happening, it's just like spewing goo everywhere. And you're like, what? Where is the goo from? And no one's casting any like water spells. It's not like some kind of particular magic. It's like the energy of two wizards like slapping sticks together somehow makes like liquid come out of their magic wands, and it's like weird, but it doesn't it doesn't happen if they like do the same spell at each other at the same time. It's only when they do this weird like again like they're doing the Kamehameha thing where they have to be doing like the the same, but it's not the same spell. It's like doing some kind of weird not spell. It does. No one ever sits down and like told me what it is. Like in the movies, no one just sits down and is like, by the way, this is what happens when this happens. Like no one's done that. It's just both instinctively they both just like ha, and they just start doing beams at each other. And I thought it was just Harry. I thought he was the only one who can do the weird goo beam. But then I saw like Dumbledore do it too, and I was like, what the fuck? So everyone could just do goo beams at each other? This is kind of weird. Why do people fight any other way? There's like the whole thing where they're like flying around like some kind of weird.
I can't remember if it ever happens in the books or if they made it up as a visual thing.
I hope it's made a visual. How do you describe that?
I know there's disarming spells and there's stunning spells and there's like guards essentially that block spells. And I think
disarming
it's like there's like a fencing style like duel system.
Disarming spells are kind of insulting.
Ever like a Kamehameha fight.
I don't appreciate that like disarming spells is called stupefy. And it just means that you don't have a wand now, which is fucking rude. Like, what do you call it? Like people who don't have wands stupid? What the hell? What is
stupefy is the stun. Expelliarmus is disarm. I remember I played fucking Game Boy Advance games where it's like you hear the fucking little bit crunched voice scream spell names over and over again.
It all looks the same,
but it's like
it all like it.
I was legitimately trying to collect all of the Harry Potter games to maybe cover at some point until the fucking like it became the worst. It's like Harry Potter became Blizzard games. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I just wanted to have a chill little time with the stupid game franchise where, like, Lego Hagrid happens. Because Lego Hagrid. PS1 Hagrid is a fucking mood.
He's pretty awesome. Funny. He's like a cylinder.
Cylinder.
One of my big complaints before the fascist movie happened was I was kind of getting I was kind of getting annoyed. I just kept telling my girlfriend, I was like, I don't understand how any of this, like, I don't understand how this wizard world works or this wizard school works, because like 90% of it is just, hey, okay, so there's these rules and no one can break them except Harry Potter, and when he does it puts his life at risk, and when that happens, no one will go and help him. And when that does, when he's almost about to die or he comes back after almost dying, everyone's going to be mad that happened. And no one at any point is going to take a self-reflective view and go, you know, maybe Hogwarts is the problem. Like, no one ever just stops for a second and is like, you know, it was kind of a bad idea that we kept a giant fucking snake in the bottom of our basement. Maybe we shouldn't do that. Or like, I don't know. Maybe we should. Baddies? Yeah, like maybe this giant maze where there's a cup in it that no one else is allowed to look at before it goes into the maze. Maybe it would be a bad idea to just let children touch that. Maybe if they just like got to it and shot a beam up and said, I found it, that would be a better idea than like a weird grabbing thing. Because if we know that teleportation magic can happen, maybe put like an anti-teleportation spell around like every fucking arena that you have, because this happens every time. But like, or I don't know, like that he's like fighting a dragon and he's like, I'm just gonna fly away, and it's like, what he just left the arena, that counts? And like he just comes back with no dragon, and everyone's just like, you did it, Harry. I'm like, no, didn't he just cheat? Didn't he just fucking, he's literally cheated. He brought a broom in when no one else can do that, because I don't know how his broom could hear him, but whatever. He like brought his broom back in, flew away, and like presumably everyone's assuming like, oh, you shouldn't have been here anyways. Maybe there's like a dark force helping him. And he just goes off with a dragon and comes back without it, and no one questions that. No one's like, I wonder if a dark force helped him with that fucking dragon. Nope, we just trust Harry. He did it. But also, Harry's a fucking liar. Don't listen to that. Like, what is this movie? What is this world? Wizards are fucking dumb, man. It's just, no, wizards are just like incomprehensibly incompetent. Like everything they do is just bad all the time, and their society continues existing because magic lets them be invisible. If it wasn't for that, they would have gotten creamed immediately by the rest of the world instantly. Like
I was
these
gonna
people
say,
are
like,
too
kind of what
fucking
happened
dumb.
with drove him to do it in
I
the
wouldn't
first
say
place.
most of what Andrew's saying are actually particularly plot holes, especially since, like, in generally
No.
speaking, it's the people who are in power who are the bad guys, which explains literally everything. Like,
Oh yeah, that
like
changes
actively the people who control what people think or what's happening are the ones doing the bad stuff in the first place, which is every explanation for why this is happening, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it is very funny
wait a
to
second.
listen to it.
That's so. First of all, that's not fair because fucking what's it called? The when his name got into the thing, like when Harry's name was in the Triwizard Tournament, for example, the rules were clear. The rules were very clear. You had to be this age, one from each house. The end. And then his name like fucking poofed out because of course it fucking does. The movies are named after him, and like it falls out and is like, oh no, Harry Potter, how does his name show up in every fucking movie? And instead of just being like, instead of following the rules that you set for yourself, being like, well, he doesn't meet the age requirement and we already have someone from our school, so we can't have two people because otherwise everyone else gets two people, right? And so everyone agrees except for like the guy who set the rules. What? He's just like, and he's not a bad guy, he just was like, no, if the name came out, we have to use the name.
I don't think that's how it's
like,
put. I think that it's literally like a binding, like it's the spell is a binding contract. Like it's already going. It's like, well, this is bad, but we literally can't do anything about it because we really have a really bad system for this.
Well, no, but everyone acted like they could just not have him take place in it, except for the ministry guy. The ministry guy was the only one who was like, no, he has to take part. It came out of the goblet. It's like, but the fucking you said
that sounds
what? But like you get to choose the rules for this thing. So like, why did it pick him? Why did it pick two people from Hogwarts? Is that normal? Does that always happen? Like, obviously, someone can manipulate the gauntlet, couldn't they? Like, no one does any inquisitive information into what happened here.
Well,
They just
people
all
think something bad happened, which is why that's why they go to thinking that Harry did it.
That sounds very close to what.
Go ahead.
I was saying, you were explaining it. Like, I don't want to.
I just meant like everyone agrees is like, oh yeah, this clearly he had to have done something. And instead of just fucking kicking him out, which he was totally okay with, by the way, Harry was totally on board with not taking part in this fucking tournament as like a child. He's like, no,
he said so himself. He was like, this isn't fair. And
he's like, I don't want to be here. And like Dumbledore's like, no,
even
the goblin
volunteered for the
so.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, he's like, we will do it. And like the only good character in this entire movie is that witch lady. I forget her name. She's the only good character for two reasons. One, she actually feels like she belongs in this world. Everyone else feels like they just like are pretending to be wizards. But she feels like she belongs
Maggie
here.
Smith is great.
Yeah, she's amazing. And secondly, she's the only one that shows, and I know she's acting, but she shows actual concern for children. Everyone else is very sociopathic about the way that they deal with these fucking children in this environment.
She just looks so dead. She's got that one eye that goes slightly off in a different direction, and you just see that sad expression over and over again of just like, oh fuck, here we go again.
Yeah, she's like, and she just sits there and she's like, I don't think, think of the children, and fucking Dumbledore just like barreling through the wall. Fuck the children, Dark Lord. And you're like, damn, dude, like, aren't you the headmaster? Some people like rely on you. And he's like, fucking gotta kill Voldemort. And it's like, all right, dude.
Gotta kill his name?
Everyone else
show up
does.
to the podcast and kick our asses.
Oh, what a great guest to have. We're gonna have so many clicks.
It's just like, it's such a weird, I don't know, it's funny, like you see her in any scene that she's ever in and she's like always real and compassionate and nice, and everyone else is just like confusingly, how did you get here? Like, you're all just like you're all just muggles pretending to be wizards. You can't fucking lie to me. Like, don't try that. Like, and everyone else is like terrible at, like, she's the only one that doesn't seem to be breaking the rules. Like, everyone else seems to be like skirting the line here about what's allowed. Like, Hagrid just keeps certain animals around, or just like, or I guess his brother counts as an animal, but he just like keeps him locked in the forest on the school grounds. Like, I mean, he's dangerous, but I got a rope around him. it's
That
okay.
doesn't
And
sound
I'm like,
nice.
I don't think that you should do that, Hagrid. I think you should like put him in a.
I thought the child
like
endangerment would be your favorite part of the franchise.
Well, but I don't mind it just because it's like the CGI looks awful.
It's just
but
boring.
two,
It's not good child endangerment.
Yeah, it's also really boring child endangerment. But but like this like again, you're in a wizarding world and you have this like I don't know. I guess it's a giant. He's not taller than a tree, so I don't know if he's really a giant. But like a big old boy, and he's
giant.
apparently
That's
he's
some giant gatekeeping right there.
I can't tell if he's like dumb as rocks or if he's just like optimistic about everything. But like, well, like he gets shot in the arm with an arrow and he doesn't react. He's just like, huh. Like, and I'm like, are you like unaware that you've been hit, or are you just like, oh, they just didn't mean to hit me? Like, I don't know how do you react to that way? He's just sitting there. He's like, oh, snap arrow out. Oh,
must have been the wind.
Moves on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I don't.
They told me the joke, gave me the jitters.
But it's but like he's keeping this fucking dangerous creature on school grounds near fucking children, and like I guess Dumbledore has to know. There's no way he doesn't. If he doesn't, then like, damn, dude, you should probably check out your forest every now and again. Isn't that part of your property? Like you have a guy whose entire job is like forest upkeep or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
I think that's Hagrid. He's the groundskeeper.
Well, yeah, Hagrid's the groundskeeper. But I'm saying like he just lets like I can't imagine Hagrid is lying to Dumbledore about his brother being there. I think
well,
like,
he lied about like
they have a rule not to go
spiders and
there's a rule not to go into the
crazy
woods.
Shit.
Well, that doesn't make it okay, Keith. Just because there's a rule not to go in the woods doesn't mean it's okay to keep fucking lava in the woods.
No,
like it's not.
I'm just saying that at this
it's
point,
a liability
at the
thing.
point
It
you're
means that
complaining
they can't
about
get
the
sued.
giant, you've already skipped past the part where there's a giant spider.
Well, there's a giant spider. There's a fucking army. There's an army of centaurs. There's like whatever those creepy skeleton horses are. Are those dangerous? I don't know. They eat meat. I'm gonna assume they're dangerous. They're like weird as fuck, and no one can see them. Like they're invisible except to people who've seen death, and they eat meat. Fuck that, dude. That's danger. That's pure danger. What the fuck? Could you imagine you're hanging out in the woods and a rabbit just disappears and you're like, where the fuck did that rabbit go? And it's like what?
But it's against the rule for the children to go out into the woods. And
wait, would that count? Would they be able to see the horse eating because they saw a rabbit die? Would that count, or they have to see people die?
It's not our problem.
Okay.
Right?
Wait,
as the school administrator, they have the rule. So who gives a fuck? If they go in the woods, that's on them.
Oh. Also, that movie introduces the only good. So the what's it called? I forget her name now, but whatever. That witch lady is the only good adult in the entire Harry Potter franchise, and the best child in the Harry Potter franchise is Luna. Like the best character.
Yep.
Luna Lovegood is legitimately like the best character in the franchise.
She is the only good character. Like anytime she's on screen, I'm like, oh, thank God, the savior's here to make this movie bearable.
Just so fun.
Oh, she is just on point. Every line delivery, every scene, like her facial reactions are just always great. She is perfect. I enjoy every scene with her in it. And like it's it's so confusing that like one, it's very confusing that there's too much screen time given to a lot of other characters that I kind of wish just stopped being in the movie entirely. Like all of the Weasley children could please just go into a dumpster and not bother me again. I would appreciate it. Like I don't know. It just I want like, can there be like an 8th movie that's like just called Luna and a tagline and just it's a whole movie for her. I don't want anyone else in it. Just her doing some wizard shit and having a good time. Just that's it. I just want to have fun with this character. She's great.
She's
there great.
Any new movies?
No.
No. They're the trailer just came out for the 3rd Fantastic Beasts movie.
Well, okay.
Wow,
I guess
that's
we're counting
ballsy.
the extended candidate.
They're making a
film.
film.
But that's with the other. That's a side story, right?
Yeah, we're not talking.
I think
it's
they're
only
also.
guidance at this
I think
point.
they're also trying to. I don't remember if this was real or if it was a fan trailer actually, but I think. I feel like I heard something about an attempt to make a movie out of Cursed Child, which was the really bad play.
Yeah.
But no, the most recent movie was, I didn't really get to it, but the most recent movie was so fucking bad that I thought it was going to be like a proper season 4 of Sherlock. Like they just kind of quietly never come back to this franchise again. Like the way that Divergent just stopped coming out and they never made the last one. Like they just gave up, which is the funniest thing to me. Because like for those that haven't seen it, the Crimes of Grindelwald is essentially like, I think it's like 2.5 hours of build up to basically just them trying to get to one meeting that the bad guy's gonna have, and then when they get there, they don't do anything to stop it. It just happens basically, and that's like the whole movie. But so it's a bunch of random scenes of like, we gotta figure out how to get to a different country, and border crossing, and this forced drama and that forced drama, and this character that seemed maybe asexual or something is suddenly has a case of the not gays, and here's this person, suddenly there's a forced love interest storyline happening, and like there's an entire plot twist that I genuinely would struggle to even explain why it was a plot twist or what its point in the story was at this point, because the story is bizarrely convoluted for having almost nothing that happens in it. But there's a part where you have an extended flashback where you find out that Zoe Kravitz was like, she's like I don't remember if it was even Zoe Kravitz doing the scene or if she was the baby in the scene, but there was a time a long time ago where on a ship there was a family that left their baby they left their daughter in charge of their baby, and the baby kept crying, so the baby the fucking daughter swapped the baby with another baby somewhere else on the ship just so that she didn't have to deal with it, and then that ship sank, and that family and their original baby drowned, and so this whole time they had somebody else's baby, and that's like a bloodline plot twist about the events of the movie somehow, and it's like an extended fucking like just an extended weird flashback to explain this incredibly bizarre but fucking hilarious storyline of like, I'm sorry, you wrote what? You wrote a baby switcheroo into your movie? And then like the villain is like, aha, the Nazis are bad. We should stop them from doing the Holocaust. And also maybe nuclear missiles are bad or whatever. Look at all these human atrocities. Shouldn't we do something about them?
The villain says that?
Yes. And then we're like, and then they're like, that's bad. We need to stop him. And that's like how the movie ends. We gotta stop the guy that's recruiting people. Like he might be. I'm sure he's full of shit because he's all fascist coded and everything, and he's like lying to get people to join. But like, it's
I picked something a little bit, or at least address like when your enemies are like.
Like you made multiple mistakes because you've done the thing you shouldn't have done, which is you've acknowledged the Holocaust in the Harry Potter universe, which means you now have to think about what the wizards were doing that whole time because the Holocaust seemingly played out the same way. Poop. And you're like
vanishing their poop.
Yeah, they're too busy vanishing their poop at the time. I wish when vanishment poopum was the thing that people were angriest about Harry Potter.
I mean, I don't honestly. It kind of makes me mad because they didn't vanish him the owl poop inside of the tower. So it's just a tower that smells like shit. And it's like, well, if you could do this for your own poop, why don't you do it for the fucking owl poop that's everywhere? It's how people get mail. What's wrong with you? That's
not only
disgusting.
have they made the mistake of acknowledging the Holocaust, they've also weirdly positioned the antagonist as being the one that wants to stop it, which raises just so many more bizarre questions. And then they further muddy the water by having like the one Jewish character who can seemingly read people's minds join the antagonist. And like I'm gonna go help him now, and I'm like, wait a minute, you're like, you have the guy that's coded as fascist, but he's against the fascists, but also the Jew characters joining them, and it's like, what are you doing in this story, buddy? Where are you going? And I checked because it's a fucking Pokemon franchise. It's supposed to be about. The whole point of it being called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is because it's based on this character Newt, who doesn't matter in the entire second movie, but it's still supposed to be his story for some reason. And the whole point is he's Newt Scamander is the person who wrote the book in universe that's called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which was in the other Harry Potter books and movies. And so like he's just a guy that travels the world and has a bunch of weird esoteric knowledge about the magical creatures, and it's supposed to be an excuse to visit all these fun magical creatures, and that's kind of what the first movie did. The second movie, the screenplay of it literally
first
one
half
page
of it was like that.
Literally one page of the entire screenplay features him dealing with a beast for a moment. And given that it's a screenplay, that's like 10 seconds of movie. Like that's like, it's like double spaced and like a massive amount of white space on the page because it's like people talking and it's all script. So it's like incredibly spaced out to make it 300 pages when it's like a 50-page book basically. And it's like, that's the only time in all of the second movie he does anything with an animal, which is the premise of the fucking franchise. It's like they literally made it one movie deep and they threw the protagonist's premise in the garbage and we're like, let's now it's about being a prequel. Now it's literally like what if like it has every sin that prequels have, which is to constantly be like making the mistake of like trying to hyper explain a bunch of stupid things from the future and have way too many cameos, so your prequel character magically crosses the path of every significant character that was alive at the time, and it becomes this hyper convoluted excuse to make another Voldemort basically. And then but you're also like you also made the weird mistake of like things keep changing back and forth, but at the time it's like, oh no, you had Jude Law and you made him turn into a worse actor, which at the time people thought was up to some real dark shit. So they had to deal with the time that fucking Jude Law transforms into Johnny Depp, and you're like, oh no. It's like,
but now,
what the fuck is happening?
Now he's changing it. But the third one, he's changing into a different character now, right?
Is he? I think they're keeping Johnny Depp because like the several revelations that keep happening in that storyline of of the court case or whatever.
Last I saw, I think they swapped him out for someone else.
I'll probably never watch it. I never watched the second movie. It's firmly in like just reading the script of Crimes of Grindelwald was enough to make the entire Beasts franchise be up there with like the DC franchise for me, where I'm like, I can't bring myself to watch like like Batman vs Superman and Justice League. I'd lose my mind.
All right, I gotta bounce, guys. I got a place to be in about 15 minutes, but it was fun.
Sounds good.
Look at you having engagements to do.
Yeah, see you around. Enjoy talking about fascist literature or whatever you've been doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Famous topic.
Bye, bird.
Please stop talking. No, that's not.
No, that's
so.
Did you say the wrong one?
Johnny Depp is leaving for the third movie, so he's going to be recasted again. So every movie, Grindelwald has had a new face. Yeah. No, it's a different person.
It's the fucking Dr. Horrible quote. It's like sometimes people are deep. You get a layer deeper, and they're like a different person. And actually, and sometimes there's like a third, deeper layer that's the same as the first.
It'll be interesting. I think it's fun though. I think it's fun that this franchise is like a hot dumpster fire, and they just like WB is really committed to having this work because they're like, give us, like, she has to give us another Harry Potter, right? Like she has to. She just hasn't got her mojo back yet. She'll give us another Harry Potter soon, and like WB just can't like come to terms with the fact that that Harry Potter was an accident. It wasn't skill. Like it wasn't some kind of like, oh, this was a well thought out, like great execution. It's just like, no, this all just happened in a lucky happenstance during a time where it like just became advantageous because it was like just a lot of stars aligned to make this happen. And like, it's not that she's like an incredibly well written author. She doesn't have like, again, from what I can tell from movies, it's not like her stories are interesting. It's a lot of just like, it's a lot of contrivances and a lot of ignoring the world for excuses for like plots to happen when you can still have an interesting, like there's like the wizard world is interesting. It just doesn't get any time to be interesting because it's so focused on this really boring suboptimal thing happening at Hogwarts. So that is almost never interesting. It's like, today at Hogwarts, we opened like the 5th chamber in the fucking West Wing that no one's seen in 200 years, and it has a butt in it, and we're gonna talk to that butt, and that butt's gonna give us a fire spell, and that fire spell can be used to open another door, and like it's all this like arbitrary, really unnecessarily complicated, like convoluted, complicated bullshit And the outcome is always like, and now Voldemort got more power, and it's like, what the fuck? Why do we even do any of this?
Wait,
like
that's always
every movie
what
ends
happens?
with every literal fucking movie of Harry Potter is like, and now Voldemort's like more powerful, and it's like, why did we even show up today? Like, let's just go home. Like, everything we do makes him more fucking powerful, apparently. But like the wizard world, like anytime you're not dealing with Voldemort, anytime you're like, the movie wants to just like gloss over that and forget that whole boring plot exists, and it goes into the wizard world proper, it's really fun. There's like cool things that people do, or like
scoop their poop with magic.
No, there's like one part where they're
I will say
like,
once again, 2 and 3 are not about Voldemort.
No, but
although 2 does end up being about the Tom Riddle diary, which is Voldemort's diary, but it doesn't make him strong.
Yeah.
In fact, it makes him weaker because it turns out it's retconned eventually to be one of the Horcruxes. So that was bad for Voldemort.
But
there's no upside of that one. And 3 was just Sirius Black.
Which, what a fun character. Glad he's gone.
Oh, Sirius is that one that
I didn't know he died.
I know which one.
I just thought he left. I thought he just like wanted to bounce out before before he got caught or something. Like,
Yeah,
I thought
he
just
got
was
hit
there
by Avada Kedavra.
I didn't even know what that meant. So
That's the death spell.
I didn't remember. So he just
They
was
have a
like,
death
I'm going
spell?
back into
That's
the portal,
overpowered.
Harry, and he just vanishes back into the portal.
Forbidden. They're the unforgivable spells. If you cast them, you're instantly like that's criminal activity.
Oh, right.
There's the death. There's a death spell. There's a torture spell, and there's a mind control spell.
Mm-hmm.
So if you mind control or torture or kill somebody or even cast them at all, then that's it. You're pretty much fucked. You've got a career as a Death Eater because that's the only place in life you could really have at that point. There's no coming
Is
back
it
from
auto?
doing
Do you
this.
get like auto branded? Is that where the tattoo comes from when you cast one of those spells?
No.
Or-
No, that is
So
that's-
someone has to like catch you
I think-
doing it, and then they're like,
yeah.
"Halt! Well, you did that." Okay, who's gonna catch you if you use the fucking death spell? Like the person you killed? Come on, who's going to like the middle of like town square with all the wizards hanging around with their potions and are like, death spell, death spell, death spell, and someone's like, oh, I don't know, I guess we'll just have to let that guy go. Like,
you know how they catch people in movies? They're looking through the door while the crime is happening.
No, you don't
And then the camera
understand.
slow-
It's a
the
misunderstanding.
camera slowly zooms in. Yeah.
I didn't say that spell. How does that work? I guess like so saying the phrase isn't necessary to cast a spell. You have to like put oomph into it.
I mean that's the spellcasting lessons. It's like a process.
I
like
don't need to roll a d20.
I mean,
Well, I'm
it's
just
like
wondering,
it's the
'cause,
same
like,
logic as D&D. Yeah, there could be a vocal and somatic and material cost depending on the spell. Usually you have to
I
say
can
the
hear
right
Effie
thing
in the background.
Yeah. Well, it's like if it's got the V and the S, that means you have to say the right thing and make the right gesture. And if there's an M, that means you need to have the materials to cast the spell. But nobody actually uses that mechanic in D&D, so everyone just uses the catalyst that skips that.
I pay attention.
Because
I
that's
pay
a
attention to
that's
that
a really
stuff.
annoying mechanic.
I'm
It
just
is,
wondering
though.
because I guess I'm realizing that like I'm trying to remember how many times I hear people say spells and not cast spells.
Yeah,
Like,
well, a lot of that's also probably movie stuff to an extent of being like,
Yeah.
we're gonna have these cool duels between Voldemort and Dumbledore, where like no one's really saying anything, and all these like cracking, there's like all these like big punchy noises are happening and so on, and it's like it is
Punchy
effective.
noises, I love it.
It's a pretty effective. It's effective filmmaking. Like that scene is a pretty. That was like. There's a lot of headlines of like, and that's when David Yates redefined spellcasting in the Harry Potter franchise because they had to come up with like a whole new aesthetic for how it all even seems in a movie because it was that was just completely different from. I think that was one of the larger departure from the books aesthetically.
Western audiences need to watch like more anime. That's like those are really boring fight scenes. Like it's just there's something about like especially like a good example is the Dumbledore and Voldemort fight was like it would have been really cool if it if it didn't feel so asinine, I guess is the problem. Like it felt really like nuh-uh kind of feel to anything that was casted. It was like, I'm gonna do fire, and Dumbledore's like, no you're not, and he's like, oh okay. And like Dumbledore's like, I'm gonna do water. He's like, no you're not. And it's like, oh okay. He's like, I'm gonna do glass. He's like, no you're not. And like, oh, okay, does anybody have fucking magic that they can do? And like, now we're gonna do the wand thing where we both like shoot beams at each other until one of them's stronger.
From a magic fight, that seems like
magic fights can be interesting.
Point.
You can create like damage around the world, or you can create this like sense of fighting. Like the idea is
it's
that
like Green Lantern stuff,
could
where
be...
it's like, well, the interesting thing is like, what are they gonna make with the ring, as opposed to being like, I shot you with my ring and then you died from getting shot by my lantern ring. Like,
well, yeah,
you're gonna,
but
like do stuff with it, not just like exist and be like the end.
That's not what it feels like. It feels like you're just doing the thing where it's like, okay, he just moved the water. It's not like he took the water, he created some kind of like spire with it and like clasped it around Voldemort to like drown him to death. It was just like, I'm gonna make a lot of water hit your feet, and he's like, no. And it's like, why did you even do that? Like Voldemort doing like throwing all the glass was still boring because it's just picking up glass and throwing it. All you did was just not use your hands. Like, I don't, that's not interesting. Create something cool with it.
What your point is.
Okay, so here's the point. The point is that with magic, you can do anything, just like Green Lantern's lantern. It's interesting in that you can create anything with it.
Like, it would be really rad cool. As fuck when it like turned into sand, because like that was how he repurposed it so that he could deflect it from being a dangerous thing. Like it's a lot of like people having to react on the fly and turn the dangerous thing into something else or counter it in some way. Like I don't see what the problem would be there. It was good stuff.
But that's boring. It's so boring.
It's literally interesting. It's literally like, oh shit, what's he gonna do with that? Oh, he did a thing that's like specific to the problem, and look at him go. I literally don't know how that's boring.
Because it's just Uno carding. It's just reverse. You're just doing a reversal card, and it's boring. Like it's not interesting when you take glass and turn it into sand on yourself, and you just get hit with a sandstorm. Like okay, but like it's not a threat to Voldemort. Like you're not taking this, you're not turning this into a battle. You're turning it into like a what's it called?
It's literally a battle.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not. It doesn't feel like a battle.
I'm saying this criticism makes no sense at all.
No, I don't know how to. Okay, then I'm not describing it well. But the point I'm making is that there's a way to create. Your point is that
you just, in many cases, you're just like, no, everything sucks. Fuck it. And so I'm just going to describe what I saw and say that it's bad. And that's the whole criticism. Is because I described the things that were on screen and they're bad by default because that's what I think the thing is.
No, so the fight that happened prior to that, where they're like all being fancy ghosts flying around, shooting balls at each other and like, hiya, like that was interesting combat. That was at least like dynamic, and there was stuff going on that like felt fun to watch. We're like, oh shit, that guy dodged that, or like, oh, got hit in the chest with that. Like, there's things happening, but when it comes to like these weird, I don't know how to describe these. They're not like rock paper scissors, I guess. They're just like, I'm going to throw a thing at you and you're going to turn that into something else, but not like, you're not deflecting it, you're just negating it. And negation of an attack, I guess, is okay, but not if every single thing is a negation. Like, it's boring. It would be boring if every Dragon Ball Z fight is someone just like reflecting. That's what it felt like.
I see what
Dragon Ball Z fights are boring.
They are very boring.
It would be more interesting if they had to do like each one's like, oh, I'm gonna try to do something special with this, and it's like, aha, I create a solution specific to the problem that you posed to me, as opposed to like energy ball, punch. This one worked for some reason. This was the good punch. All the other punches I could just take, but this one killed me. Like it's literally more interesting than the thing you're comparing it to.
I meant more of like, I'm talking more about just like shooting the beams. Like if that's what it feels like, is that everyone's just shooting a Kamehameha and everyone's just reflecting the Kamehameha. And you're like, okay, well, at some point it seems kind of stupid to like do this. Why wouldn't Voldemort
I don't see how you can complain about the beams and then also complain that the rest of the fight is more interesting than the beams. Like, you either want the part where they just do a stupid power fight and the power person wins, or you want them to do interesting, innovative things throughout the fight, which is literally what the other thing is you're complaining about. Like, you're literally being like, I just don't like these movies, so I'm going to describe what happens to them and then say that what happened was bad.
So the closest it got was there in that same fight, when Voldemort does the fire snake, Dumbledore does a thing where he like kind of implodes the snake and shoots it back out. But he doesn't turn it into like a weapon. He just kind of like it is more of a diffusal. Like Voldemort isn't phased or has to counter that. He just like stands there and he's like, and like that's close to what I want. I want him to like, if he turned the fire around into another attack back at Voldemort, and Voldemort's like, oh fuck, I don't know, man. The snake fire thing was my best thing. And he has to like find a way to like oh, I see. I think I see not counter, but like dispel or like turn it back around. Like the idea should be that but again, like he created a fire snake. That's interesting. But like when Dumbledore then creates his like water thing, he doesn't create anything out of the water. He just gets a lot of water and tidal waves it into Voldemort. And Voldemort's just like, oh, okay, no. And it's like, well, okay. And then again, Voldemort just like yells and glass falls and he picks up the glass and throws it. He doesn't like creates a ball of glass and throws it at him. And Dumbledore's like, fuck, that's a lot of glass. It's a hail of glass. And it's not a particularly interesting attack. It's just kind of like a desperate attack. It's a very boring, like one of these has to hit you, right? And he's just like, no, I'm just gonna make a wall. He didn't do anything with the water.
No. He drags all the water out of the fountain. So one, he's using the environment. He's using something that's already there. Then he captures Voldemort in an entire globe of the water and levitates him into the air, trying to drown him inside of the water. Like it's a sphere of water floating in the air that's like all visually spectacular and shit. And then what happens is during a later deflection in the fight, the shockwave shatters all of the windows throughout the entire building, causing this rain of glass down. And so Voldemort doesn't create glass; he takes all of that glass and sends it.
He picks it up
at Dumbledore, and then Dumbledore is able to like shred it into sand and so on before it actually like ends up killing them. Like it's literally like it's like setup, payoff, action, reaction. Like things are just things aren't just randomly happening. It's the stuff that's around them, and they're using it like the way you would do a fight scene, but with magic. Like the same way that like Jackie Chan uses the ladder that's around. Like they're using the shit that's around them and doing interesting things. Like I don't get the idea that's like, oh, it's just he doesn't do anything. It's like, and it's not interesting for any reason. It's like there's literally like. They're literally interacting with the environment and coming up with solutions for the things that are happening to each other. It's like, what else do you want from a magic fight?
I'm imagining more like the fire snake. I'm imagining more like you're creating cool things out of the elements. And I said the fire snake's cool. I'm saying that the boring part was his reaction to the fire snake. I think it was boring that the fire snake just got like poofed into nothing. Like he just kind of he just bounced the snake off of him and like pushed the fire back, and that didn't really I don't know.
Your argument was more around using magic in unpredictable ways to the viewer rather than coming up with.
I mean, it's all unpredictable to a sense because you don't know what like. There's a level of like you don't know exactly what you can do with magic because you're like a dumb child and they don't ever explain the how the entire world works. So like technically like no one ever said that there's a spell that you can create fire reptilians with. That's not like a thing. But
that's not what I mean. I mean, I thought you were talking about like here's the rules and now let's manipulate them in a fun way or in an interesting, unexpected way, rather than...
I'm thinking more... Yeah, no, I'm just thinking more of like, again, like Green Lantern. Like you have magic, you can do literally anything with it, and I would expect something a little bit more grandiose
for poor Colonel that's just listening to us yell about the dumbest thing for 20
Sorry,
minutes.
I'm just expecting something that's more grandiose. Yeah, like...
I posted a link.
I'm expecting something that's a little bit
fire
more...
snake. Yeah.
Yeah, see, it makes like a dumb fire snake, but when the fire... Fucking Harry. When the fire snake happens, he just kind of like, no. And the fire snake's like, oh shit, okay. And he just like pushes it back, and Voldemort's like, nah. He just like nails it away. Like, what the fuck? Come on, dude. I don't know.
Didn't like that.
Like, you could just kind of like, nah. No, you know what? It didn't work. Never mind. And he just like brushes the fire away. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why did Dumbledore have to do all of this like hocus pocus to just turn it around on him if he could have just said like, nah. Like, wait, if Voldemort can fire away, why can't Dumbledore fire away? Like, are you telling me that he knows something that no? Fuck off! Like, just
he didn't want to nail the fire away. He wanted it to become an attack.
Why did you want to fucking nail the fire away? Why did you want to turn
it's almost
it back
like
on
I had a
know?
sentence to finish. Jesus Christ! You literally are arguing with the first half of the sentence that's still talking, and then the second half was the answer to the question.
All right, go for it. Yeah.
It's a weird thing to come after. Like there's so many things to complain about, and you're like, oh, everyone's favorite scene. I hate it. It's stupid.
This is everybody's
I hate things. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. That's like a dangerous statement, but it's a well received scene. Like this is not like, oh man, Last Jedi throne room fight, controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it. Let's argue about the dagger that gets edited out of that one scene or whatever. It's like a lot of people are generally like, oh fuck. Especially since it's like a whole movie of like you're like, this is like the 5th movie, so it's like I've seen this person do a little charm where a thing levitates. I've seen this person painstakingly make potion for like a day, and then they get 1 hour of looking like somebody else. What are they gonna get away with? And you're like, oh fuck, the 2 super wizards that are like the god tier characters of this cinematic universe are like going at it, and they can do a bunch of shit that you didn't even know was possible in these movies. Like the scale of it is absurd, and you're like, this is, oh Jesus, like the main character is hiding in a fireplace in the corner because shit's completely fucked. And it's like this is storytelling, and it's a well-made scene that does that story. Like it's like one of the least applicable things to be complaining about. It's so weird.
I've watched in my time. I've seen a lot of combat, both magical, physical.
In my time.
One of my favorite things, one of the big things to complain about is how the 7th movie suddenly introduces a weird mirror that links to someone you've never heard of, and like it was established like 5 books ago, I think, but they never did it in the movies because they didn't know it was going to be important later. And so like the characters just suddenly are interacting with this weird mirror shard that's really important that you've never heard of before, and you just have to like run with it. Or the fact that time travel is introduced in the 3rd movie and would have fixed a lot of things all the time. Oh no.
Well, I mean, again, it's Magic World. I just assume that like whatever you fix can just be unmagicked. Like you could just be like, I fixed time, and it's like, nope, magic said no, and it's just a back and forth. Like I don't know. It's just, again, these are like something like. There's this, there's like, I guess to me, there's an expectation of like, you can do literally anything. And it felt like a Pokemon battle where it's just people trying to do like elements attacks with each other. And someone's like, nah, I don't have, that's not super effective to me. Sorry, bud. And I'm going to throw water. And it's like, nope, not super effective to me. And it's like, you're just like trying a bunch of shit. And one of them's, I guess, going to work. But there's no like, I was expecting they would have their own brand of, like, I don't know, magic that's unique to them, something that only they can do, that they would fight against each other with, and that like
a giant flaming snake from the snake themed guy,
which
that again, only he does.
Yes, looks pretty fucking. Again, I have not at single time complained about the fact that the fucking fire snake exists.
I'm just saying it's the exact counterpoint to the complaint you're having. It's also, and I can't stress this enough, audience. We're complaining about like 1 minute of video.
Yeah.
Not enough crazy things happened in the 12 things that happened in this 1 minute.
Well, again, like, because need I remind you, Keith?
Why does that 1 minute have a second and third example of the thing that I said would be good?
So, because in this
thing you liked happened and it's only a minute long.
Because in the 2 minutes, because this is the 2 minutes and 25 seconds of the only thing in this movie that wasn't stupid fucking bullshit. Because the rest of the movie didn't have to happen, and it's a waste of my fucking time. This is the only thing that could have made up for it, which is like, oh, cool, big old wizard battle. And it didn't do anything. And it was like, all right, so the whole time was a waste. I could have just skipped the whole fucking movie, and nothing would have changed. Good to know. Why are we here? And like, so I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that like, I don't know. I feel like the fire snake was the only thing that was like, oh, here we go. And then the rest of it was downhill. And I was like, well, then what the fuck? Like, what, why? Anybody could fight fucking doofus here with no nose then. Like, you could just nope away fire. You can nope away water. I didn't even see how, like, it doesn't even show, like, what did Voldemort do to get out of water? He just, like, kind of swam and then just got out of it. Like, did he cast a spell? Like, what did he do? What the fuck happened to make him stop? I don't. No one's saying anything. And because no one's saying anything, I have no context to what's happening because visually it doesn't fucking make sense. It's just like a lot of things happening, but there's no context for it. Like, did Dumbledore summon water? I don't know. He's waving a wand. I guess he did, but what did he summon it to do? Is he like levitating the water? Is he turning it into I don't like what is he doing with the water besides just like fucking orchestrating
to me it looks like Harry Potter getting too close to the danger and distracting Dumbledore when he takes a moment to get him the fuck away is what makes him lose his concentration long enough for Voldemort to break through. But that's me like drawing the conclusion of a series of scenes shown in chronological order in a way to tell a story non-verbally. But
I mean, you could have just leaned your leg out and kicked. I don't know. You could have leaned your leg out and kicked the boy back. Like, I don't think you needed to like break your concentration on holding the most powerful evil wizard in the planet just so you could say like back a little bit, Harry boy.
I'm also confused by the idea the whole movie doesn't have to happen. I'm like, I mean, I guess the plot's not important if you ignore it, but like.
No,
the movie had a
seriously,
plot.
It gets kind of, well, sort of. I guess like the only important thing that happened was the people got broken out of Azkaban, but otherwise,
that's where that word comes from.
Yeah, it's from the stupid Harry Potter. It's like a prison in the middle of the ocean
like that Wizard Alcatraz.
Yeah. Wizard Alcatraz. I mean, it's also an island in the middle of the ocean. Wow, good job, guys.
Are the Mentors as well from Harry Potter?
The Dementors, yeah, they're the guards of Azkaban. I'm gonna get such a weird amount of flack for this episode for defending Harry Potter when it's not popular too. But it's just your points are so frustrating that I can't help but like be like, what the fuck are you saying?
Either way, that's just the way. I don't know. I don't think this. I think the whole fifth one was a waste of time. I think we could have just.
It's literally my favorite book in the series, not in the world.
I'm not saying. And again, I haven't read any of these. I don't know. Maybe it's better in book form, but
it is weirdly the longest. It is the longest book, which became the shortest movie, which is a weird juxtaposition.
It was I don't know.
The first David Yates movie because they kept changing directors.
Nothing in it felt good. It just all was disappointing, and I just walked away like, man, what the fuck? That was, I guess, all right. I don't know. It just, I don't know. I feel like we were all like, even the fascist guy was in Dumbledore's office with the fucking truth wall, and you could have just went to the stupid truth wall and fucking shown the fascist. And Dumbledore was there. He could have just been like, "Hey, now good that you're here. I'm glad you came. I could show you on my truth wall that this is all true." Like,
what is the truth wall? I can't tell what you're talking about.
I don't know. I don't remember what it's called. Dumbledore has some stupid fucking sink fountain that he washes his butt in, and he
doesn't need to.
We're talking. It's the pensieve.
No, he can only vanish poop. He can't watch it.
It's a pool of memories.
Yeah, there you go. Pool of memories. And clearly he's pulling them out and putting them in there. So it's not as if like the fountain is just making shit up as it goes along. He's pulling the memory out.
Yeah, it's a storytelling device for experiencing memories, basically.
So have the fucking fascist guy pull out the memory from Harry of him fighting Voldemort in the graveyard, and then have everyone gather around and look in the fucking fountain. And we can now all see that the boy isn't lying, and there is in fact a fucking bad guy hanging out.
You're ignoring the fact that everybody that is actively blaming Harry and denying his truth are all people that benefit from not believing him. Meanwhile, the people that do believe him already that would help Harry against Voldemort already believe him usually, so there was no reason to prove anything to begin with because they're already on his side.
Except for the fact that the people who are benefiting are people who are actively only making him better. Like and also
making Harry Potter better?
And again, remember, it's not everyone. Everyone's just kind of it's just a two-faction belief system. where everyone is rallied behind this one guy who's saying something, which again, you can just ignore that fucking guy. Just bring everyone else into a room and show them the stupid memory pool. And because that's all that happens at the end of that fucking movie. After that fight, everyone just shows up in the fireplace and goes and just sees him like, and like vanish away. And they're like, ah, fuck.
That's what you meant by the bad guy dancing. There's so much decoding to do to figure out which scene you're complaining about.
Because he what is it?
He's talking about the fact that the fight ends because essentially the work day starts at the ministry and people start coming in and they literally see Voldemort and it's like, oh fuck. The guy who is covering this all up his story is out. He can't hide the return of Voldemort anymore because he was. I saw him.
He could literally just say that it was like, oh, it was just Dumbledore making a projection, or Harry is just casting a stupid spell. He's been a dumb kid playing a prank. Like, fuck off, dude. Are you telling me that you believe it because you saw this fucking dumb specter, not even wearing pants, by the way, dancing over a child? Like, are you kidding me? This is fucking stupid. Yeah, he's like just in a fucking Reaper robe, and he thinks he looks cool, but he looks like he's homeless. Get some pants, damn. Fucking God, just go down to the fucking wizard outlets or something and buy some black jeans. No one's fucking stopping you, Voldemort. God damn it. It's fucking embarrassing. Like everyone else, like I guess Dumbledore also doesn't wear pants, so fucking maybe it's the fashion sense. But like, it's either way. All that matters is that it is funny to me.
This is very confusing, Colonel.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Hearing a story via Andrew will do that.
It's all I'm saying is that it's really.
I know what he's talking about, and it takes me a while to figure out what he's talking about.
All I'm saying is I do not understand how seeing what looked like a mirage, by the way, because when they did show up, only like 4 people showed up along with the one guy who was lying about it all. So it's not like everyone in the ministry saw it. It's like 4 people.
Well, he's disappearing with flu powder. Yeah,
and he's just vanishing during that time. So like anybody could have been like,
because they travel via fireplaces.
Yeah. So any like people could have showed up and been like what? I'm sorry, what was that? Something? I don't know. I just woke up. I don't know what's going on here. Like it 4 people, you could easily tell 4 people like, no, that was definitely just all double. He's doing shit. Double. And people would have been like, oh, I guess we believe the fascist guy anyways, so we're definitely susceptible to believing him. Like, why did seeing half a mirage, also covered in dust, Voldemort, which you kind of can make out, but Dumbledore's also standing in the way of it, so it's really hard to see him like straight on. That was enough for people to be like, oh shit, he's back, rather than like he could just turn around and go like, nothing to see here, that was just a lie, and everybody be like, oh, I guess it was just a lie, the leader said so. Like, they just I don't know, man, it's so fucking stupid. You have devices that can fix this problem. You have magical tools. Stop acting like you have to like everyone has to like see shit.
You're going back and forth so rapidly to like, it's so easy to prove this, but also the literal proof they saw is completely, it could be completely second guessed.
No, I'm saying because so the argument I'm trying to make is that if using the devices that would be way more easier to prove validity are not acceptable uses in this scenario, then why the fuck is this an acceptable use to prove validity? Like, it doesn't make sense. Either all of the ways to prove validity do not work because they're all fucking under this shitty mind control idea of ignorance that like, no, he's not back, or you can just use a better way than having Harry get beaten up by a fucking guy without pants. I'm just saying there's way better ways to convince people.
I feel like this particular hill is a bit more of like a CinemaSin / like how it should have ended style approach to film that isn't really the point of stories.
This movie is awful. It's just this movie. I'm not saying like that. I think the Triwizard Tournament's also kind of fucking dumb, but I'm not going to argue about it because whatever, that's fine. But like, this is egregiously dumb. Every single avenue is like all of this was so worse by just not doing the potion. Like, you lost an entire fucking portal of predictions. Every single one of them is gone now because you couldn't just trust a dumb fucking child who's literally, by the way, literally, again, only fucking asshole to have survived from this that we've all agreed on. We've set the stage here. We all agree that Harry Potter is the only fucking kid who's ever survived this. And I don't think, for any fucking reason, by the way, that he is excited to show up from Hogwarts every year with more cuts and bruises than any other fucking kid because he keeps fighting a pantsless wizard. Like, I'm telling you, dude, maybe just believe the kid. It's getting weird now.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't go back after that.
Honestly, the only reason Harry goes back is because when he goes home, he gets abused by his family there too. Like, the dude has no reprieve. He is either abused by really shitty. Time. It's like he either gets abused by really shitty like 1970s British people, or he gets abused by like a pantsless wizard guy with no nose.
British people, the worst breed.
Yeah, it's the worst kind. But like, it's so weird. Like,
they still believe in Churchill.
Honestly, I think the dad is Churchill, but I'm just saying, it's like, it's so weird. Like, at some point I would think that it would be more reasonable for like, I don't know, maybe Harry could live with the lady across the street. She seems nice. I mean, she's living she's a wizard, but she seems to be living a nice, calm life over there.
Shit, I forgot the word. She can't cast spells. She's wizard born. She's the opposite of a muggle, where she's wizard born, she's the opposite of what they call mudbloods if you're a racist. But I actually don't remember what they call it if you're not racist.
By the way, every wizard is racist.
But she's the opposite of a muggle born wizard in that she's wizard born, but she's not magic. Is their neighbor.
Fine.
A squib, that's the mean word they have, because there's a bunch of weird mean words, and they usually don't replace them with not mean words, so I only know the mean word.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really a nasty sounding word, isn't it? Squib? Dude, it's like, oh god, you call people that? What does that mean? I don't know if I want to know.
Why does
the Wizarding World has a weird like blood fetish. Like, they are super particular about blood.
Well, they're English.
That doesn't mean that's not an excuse, and also not all of them. Don't be fucking racist. Some of them come from other countries. Yeah, but the stories
are all from England and take place in England, and it's like there's really noticeable like, oh, this is a weird priority system you got here. I wonder what that says about you.
But there's other. But
we want to talk more about superior breeding.
But the weirder part is that every wizard person is that way. It's not just like the British wizards. It's like the French wizards and.
Oh yeah, it's also a thing where like the villains are like too into it, but the good guys are also still into it in a way that's supposedly less bad.
Everyone is equally invested into the bloodline thing. There is no such thing as like a separation.
It's just that they make the weird call of like they make the weird. There's the weird thing where they're clearly the bad guys are bad guys because of how much they care about bloodlines, with like no irony about the fact that like because it's an English story, like everyone cares way too much about bloodlines and stuff.
Yeah,
it's too baked into it. Like it's the fucking Skywalker saga.
Also, Skywalker saga.
Yeah, no, it's what I hate. I hate so much about fucking Star Wars is it's too much bloodline shit that makes the narrative creepy and weird. And then when they finally got away from it in Last Jedi, they're like, "What if we retconned it into actually being still canon? Fuck you!" I'm like, "No, please."
That movie also
let this franchise be about more than one family.
The fifth movie also starts out confusing because it has him like casting a spell to save his life from what were they called? Death Eaters.
The Dementors. Are you talking about the death looking dudes as opposed to the dark wizards?
The thing with the silly circle mouths, those things are funny as fuck.
Yeah, they suck your soul out in their little like death robes, and they make you feel cold and sad inside. And the best thing you can do is fight them with a magic spell that has a special Pokemon personality quiz that shows like your personal spirit animal. But if you don't have that, the second best option is chocolate because it makes you feel good. Because
that's not true. It's true. Throw chocolate at them?
No, you eat chocolate to help fend off how fucked up it is. Lupin gives Harry Potter chocolate on the train after the first encounter with the Dementors because they're introduced in the same scene. And it's
I thought you meant it helps you
it helps you recover from the experience because you feel cold inside and horrible.
Oh, big old babies. Anyways,
it's a lot of emotional storytelling and whimsical like young adult fiction and stuff. Like that's the point in many cases is the kind of silliness of it.
It's fine. It's stupid.
You
but
watch anime. Like that's the fucking DNA of that genre in many cases.
Yeah, and I complain about that too. Don't act like I don't.
Then you're watching anime wrong too.
No, I'm not. So that I don't care about them. They're irrelevant. They just show up and do funny things. They show up. And
things.
Harry basically.
I like the way he describes things that attack children.
It's fine. It's fine. They never win, so who cares?
What a funny little munchkin! Look at him going after. Oh, he's gonna suck the soul out of a boy.
I have yet to see a single dead child from it, so I don't think they do a very good job.
You've never seen a single dead child? This is literally dead child
from the Dementors. From the Dementors. They never succeed. So I'm under the impression that they are just there to cause like some kind of. They're just like, yeah, they're little gremlins. They just show up like, hey, I'm gonna steal your pants and run away, and you're like, oh no, like that's it. They don't cause any harm. They're just dumb little like.
Pants. No one stole his pants. He just doesn't wear pants.
I mean, that's true. I don't know that. Maybe that's like the 7th book. They explain that he's upset because Harry's dad stole his pants too.
Oh yeah, because you're not finished yet, huh?
No.
Oh man, the 7th movie's my favorite.
So they're coming in, they're like sucking kids, and which that sounds way better.
Don't phrase it that way at all. What are you doing?
How do you want me to phrase it?
We've literally already said it several other ways.
So they're teaching kids about souls, and they so Harry's like, yeah, no, I don't want what you're selling, and he just tells him to go away, and it's just him and his cousin. I don't remember what it is. Live-in bully. How else would you describe that?
His live-in bully. That's fucking great.
I don't know what else it is.
Yeah, no, his piece of shit cousin that he has to live with because his parents are dead, and he just.
His cousin. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's probably his cousin. Yeah, I don't. It's definitely it's some kind of extended. Yeah, because he lives with his aunt and her aunt's family. Yeah, it's his aunt's family, so it's his cousin.
So anyway, it's his family. So family. It's just him and his cousin, and so he saves both of them from getting killed by Dementors or whatever. And no one else is there. They're under like an overpass for a bridge, and it's like rainy and sad. I guess I don't know. Is that the feeling that rain gives people in Britain? Sad.
Unfortunate news for them, given the climate.
and so they're. So he does all that. He's like wizzy wazzy and makes a possum appear and kills all of them. And so the Dementors just fly away or whatever. No big deal. Again, I don't even think his live-in bully sees it because he's passed out from a Dementor eating him or something. And so old lady comes by and she's like, I don't think you should be doing that. I don't know, that's dangerous. And he's like, no, you live across the street. And so they go back home or whatever. And they have to carry this live-in bully with them because he's still passed out.
He's all fucked up from the Dementor stuff.
Yeah, and so they bring him back in, sit him back down, and they're like, blah,
and then of course
blah,
Harry
blah,
gets blamed for it because that's the plot of it. That's the opening chapter of every storyline.
Yeah, every story is, again, these abusive people are just like, I'm gonna beat Harry this time finally
because he finally
stepped over the line. I'm allowed to like break the law, and so fucking this letter comes in the mail. From an owl, by the way, because mail doesn't exist in the wizard world. It's just owls.
Because they don't have the technology.
No, because wizards like to make everybody indentured servants to them. And so these owls comes in and brings a letter.
Dumb, so
no, they're not. Owls are pretty smart.
No, they're not.
Don't you dare talk shit about owls. That's the hill that Andrew will die on.
You're thinking falcons and
Falcons are also great. What's wrong with falcons?
No, owls are different. They're I know they're the symbol of wisdom and all that, but they're really like one-minded creatures.
Owls are the only ones that know how many licks it takes to get the center of a Tootsie Pop, and I don't see fucking lions doing
That's
that. I don't see
wisdom.
bears.
So, I don't.
I'm gonna say.
Oh wait, I know
the
reference. I got the reference.
And so Owl brings in this letter. The letter, by the way, is a letter that comes alive. It just like grows lips and an eye and eyes, and and shouts at Harry very loudly. By the way, it's not quiet. It's like Harry Potter. Like, oh
that
shit!
Sounds like
I'm in trouble.
It's because student wizards aren't allowed to cast spells during summer.
Yes.
They're only allowed to cast spells at home. I mean, at school.
They are not. But the letter specifically says that he is expelled for casting magic in the Muggle world.
Yeah, in front of a Muggle.
In front of a Muggle. And so, which this letter, by the way, is magic being casted in front of 3 Muggles, which is way more than what Harry casted in front of. And it's not just like out of sight. Like the dad of that kid is about to beat the shit out of Harry, and he's like walking towards him when this letter happens. They have seen a lot of magic, which is why, again, I'm confused about how he's getting suspended for casting magic in front of his family, who may be Muggles, but are technically people at this point who have been harassed by magic, like on 5 different movies.
The background is that Voldemort's taking over the government in various ways and has a series of people that work for him. And so it's literally just a flimsy excuse to get Harry Potter out of school, because his house and the school are both protected in different ways. It's very, because like the whole plot of the ending, the 8th movie is related to it's all about the fact that they can't penetrate Hogwarts, and so him being in school makes him safer, and so they want to expel him from school because I think I think the letter even has the voice of that infuriating woman. I can't remember the name of today.
So, yeah, I think it's
it's absolutely just bullshit. It's not a plot hole. It's bullshit in universe.
No, I didn't think it was a plot hole. I just thought it was really stupid. Like, if I at that point I would have been like, Your Honor, this letter was casted in front of 3 Muggles. Like, I would have just brought the letter back and be like, you guys casted like all of you casted magic in front of Muggles. Why did you guys do that? What's wrong with you? You could have just sent a letter. Like, why'd you have to send a magic letter? What's fucking wrong with you people?
An infuriatingly unreceptive bureaucracy and government is like core to the franchise's story.
Well, they seemed pretty. They seemed pretty.
Plot holes, they're like, why won't they just listen? Is like, I'm like, that's the point.
Well, they did seem pretty receptive to Dumbledore just coming in and saying like, "Nuh-uh," and they're like, "Oh shit, okay." like half the council was just like, "Oh, I guess Dumbledore's here, so it must be true. He didn't do anything bad." Like, they just believed him on principle. He didn't make a compelling argument.
Yeah, but that is the level of the problem, is that somebody like Dumbledore has to come in and personally vouch for Harry Potter just to get this kind through what is normally like, it's like a fucking schoolyard like scuffle. Like, it's like a normal delinquent child thing that would not normally be like a life-ending problem. But not only was it going to ruin his life, but the fucking admin of his entire school had to take time to travel and specifically vouch for him because of the level of bullshit happening.
I guess it's I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like I guess I don't know the context here. Like, if Harry got genuinely suspended, like they're just like, nope, that's it, we've had a fuck enough, get the fuck out. Would they like, what's the path here? What is the path to expulsion? Do they like erase your memory and send him back into the closet? Is that what's going to happen? Or the cupboard
he'd
or
be
whatever?
Expelled from the school, which would likely mean that he's not allowed to be a wizard, basically. So it would be permanently. I think it'd be permanently illegal for him to cast spells.
Could he still? What's going to happen if he casts spells? Will they put him in Azkaban?
They're going to expel this.
Like, I mean, eventually you'd end up in prison. Because
Azkaban's probably a safer place to be than.
I don't think he's viewing Azkaban as a valid response to this situation.
I just meant that, like, bad. If. As long as I'm
also
just thinking, like, as long
the
as
jailbreak that happens, like that movie or the next one, clearly would not have been a safe place for him.
He doesn't have to leave. He can just stay there.
No, well, but all the people escaping were the Death Eaters. So if Harry Potter was there, then they'd be fucked. They would just kill him.
I guess that's
like,
true.
Oh, he's right here. The only thing guarding him were more of these Dementors that apparently we got past. So Is no
one else in this world aware of how this works? Like, does no one else know why Harry's there? Or is it like just only people at Hogwarts that know Harry Potter?
Why Harry's at Hogwarts?
No, just like Harry's fucking mythos in general. Does everyone know of the whole Harry Potter thing? Or is it just like
where he's the child who lived and all that? Yeah, it's a whole obnoxious, it's a whole like narrative that he has to deal with all throughout. Where there's that Like an important part of his character is that everyone around him that he meets has expectations that are put on him that he doesn't even fully understand the context for, because most people know more about Harry Potter than he does at the beginning of the story, because he was because like he was sheltered by his aunt and her shitty family, and they literally told him nothing about what happened to his family or why he's here or what things are like this. They like lied about what happened to Lily and kept everything from him, and that's the whole point of the "You're a wizard, Harry." He didn't know.
So
that's also why Malfoy hates him so much, because at first you're like, oh, he's just like a piece of shit that's like, oh, this kid's famous and I'm gonna take him down a peg and fuck that guy, he's not better than me. But then in the long term you're like, oh, he's in the Nazi family, he's got fucked up parents, and they actually like are like, he's getting this like, even if he doesn't know the context, he's getting like residual hate from the fucked up fascist parents that want to specifically kill Harry Potter because they still work for Voldemort.
So then Then did like everyone in the Ministry get replaced? Was like did every, because it couldn't have been just that guy and that girl who were evil.
That guy and that girl. Oh, the Malfoys.
So no, not the Malfoys. Sorry, the Wizard Prime Minister. What the fuck is that guy? The magic guy. The
Cornelius Fudge is like the Prime Minister of Wizards or whatever.
Okay, fine.
Oh, yeah, no, everyone's got wacky names because it's a wizard story, Colonel.
Yeah, it's. Look, you don't need to remember characters' names.
When
you just need to remember how
when
bad
David
they
Tennant's
are.
doing funny tongue flicking motions, you gotta also accept that his name's Barty Crouch Jr.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
The names are fucking hysterical.
Yeah, the what's it called? So Fudge.
It's a wacky children's story about fascism infiltrating your government. Which was a funny parallel, because at the same time the Star Wars prequels were doing the same story.
Yeah. The what's it called? So Fudge and the lady, the fascist lady who takes over Hogwarts. They're the only two evil ones, right?
No.
So
I don't remember.
But they were the only ones.
I don't think Fudge was even working for Voldemort.
He
was just kind of a stooge.
What do you mean? He was pretty fucking adamant of like getting rid of Harry Potter.
I feel like I feel like he was somebody that like, it was just massively politically inconvenient to deal with the reality of what was coming up, so they ignore it like, real governments do. But there's also surrounded by people who, absolutely were working for Voldemort in a number of cases. But they don't like, it's because it's from the perspective of a guy that's going to school. You don't get like a detailed breakdown of the entire wizard hierarchy in the Silmarillion or whatever that tells you the political alignment of every single character. Like, when you see a handful of people that have infiltrated the government, the implication is that a bunch of other people you don't know about are also there. And like you see those like Death Eater meetings, and there's like a bunch of people there, and 3 of their faces, but there's more, and you're like, ooh, where's that guy from? What's that guy up to? Is he
I just was wondering
of England?
because like at the end of it, it's all like, Fudge is getting fucking kicked out because he never. I guess he.
Yeah, I think he resigns after everyone sees Voldemort, because he just spent the last year calling Harry a liar over the Voldemort sighting.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, my career's over.
Yeah, but so no one else gets kicked out? Like, not all. I would be fucking gunning hard for everybody that was in that room that voted to kick Harry out of fucking school. Like, all of them were clearly liars.
Oh, no.
Like, they're all working for Voldemort.
Brexit.
Like... That doesn't mean anything.
I'm just saying, like, there's all sorts of history of like
people doesn't have consequences.
Half the people that actually are responsible for the worst choices don't even face the consequences. It's often like a guy they choose to highlight it at. There's always showy political machinations. It's like when Blizzard had the big fucking Cosby Room nightmare news, and then they're like, well, here's a female SEO. Or CEO that's going to co-CEO, and it's like, oh, turns out she felt actively talked over and used as a pawn, and also was being paid less than the male CEO. It's like it's always political moves that are bullshit. Like, there's no before and after where the government's good in Harry Potter.
Okay, I didn't know if like that was part of his cabinet, or if that was like, because I don't really know what
the Wizard Tribunal. It would not be like a cabinet or even the leadership.
Are those like judges? Or like what is the? So there's
some kind of I don't know the specific details honestly.
Because like that's a lot of people to show up for like a kid.
Person that once upon a time she was like the most hated character for me in all of fiction, and I can't remember her name today. But she was like there. I remember. You can't miss her. She's wearing bright pink no matter what the context. And in that scene, it was like this fucking like pitch black obsidian tiled room, and she's still in fucking bright pink. And you're like, there she is.
I think it was really cowardly though that they didn't kill her. Like they should have killed her, right? Like the centaurs took her away. Like she should have been fucking murdered. I don't know why they didn't.
Oh yeah, it definitely seemed like she might have been dead for a while.
Yeah, I was really like, oh cool, I'm glad they at least killed her. And then it was like, no, she resigns. Like, she's fucking alive? Come on, man! Like, chuck her off a cliff. What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, no,
like, she literally just tried to like undermine the entire world.
Like as far as I'm aware, like the centaurs would have killed her, so she just actually got away or something. I think.
No.
Because I think they shoot arrows at people, don't they? Like, I think they're like.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was making a joke about. Like the guy, the guy was just like got shot with an arrow, and he's like, huh? And he just snaps the arrow off, and he just like looks at it.
Because he's just not phased.
They were literally trying to murder her. They were stabbing at her with spears when he was holding her up. They were like trying to stab at her. Like, there's no fucking way she lived. That's like such a cop out. You should have killed her. There's no reason to not kill that character. Like, I wanted a scene where it's like found the body of like Pink Lady in the woods.
I mean, everybody wants to hear that at the end of that movie because she's Pink Lady. Why can't I remember her name?
You know what? I think they should make an 8th movie where Harry Potter goes and kills all the people who besmirched him over the 7 movies, and like call it Harry Potter and the Wizardly Revenge. And just have him, like, I don't know, fly a dragon or something and like burn everybody who got like
Harry Potter and you had your chance to listen.
You picked a side and you will stay on it. Like
there does seem to be a thematic insistence on the driving motivations of being wrongfully accused of something by your superiors.
It's more infuriating when it's like insistence through ignorance. Like someone is adamant and confident that you are wrong, even though they have no proof. Like at no point did anyone have proof to counter Harry. Like Harry has all the proof. He has memories and he can use those memories. But like at no point did someone show up and say like, I have a way to prove you're a liar. And so it's just like somebody who has authority.
It's actually really frustrating because specifically like it plays directly into the narrative of what J.K. Rowling is doing herself now, because now she is the villains of Harry Potter, and she's actively ignoring the people that are telling her to her face what reality is and what things mean. And
how do you think she was so good at writing them, Keith?
I'm fucking Cornelius Fudge, and I'm gonna make the world worse and use my power badly and actively ignore information right in front of me and so on. Like it's if anything, it's like very accurate fiction, I guess, because like once she finished her transformation into a proper boomer, she became the villains of her own stories.
But what I mean is like because it's sort of, as a reader, I imagine you sort of feel or share the dread of the consequences of something that is unfair for Harry, either because you're expelled or because something even worse is going to happen. But the problem is the fact that those like accusations are so easily dismantled by figures of power, coupled with the fact that they're accusations without any proof, as you're saying, Andrew. I think that they're just like that has a. I don't know if that's just on one book, and so it's like, oh, this happens a lot. I get the impression that this keeps happening.
I mean, the entire franchise is pretty much Harry and his friends knowing more than the wizarding world at large does about the bad thing happening, but they're largely being ignored.
It's mostly just like Harry Potter trying his best to not get his friends killed because no one else wants to be a fucking responsible
among
adult
other things,
in a wizard world.
You got to have a narrative that justifies how a series of kids keep being the ones that are involved in the climax of the story every time.
Yeah, fair. So
it's
there's
like
a certain,
young adult children's story and so on, and whether intended or not, it ends up telling a story about like this bureaucratic nightmare of people that care more about what's politically expedient than actually like happening, and doom the world in the process, and global warming metaphors and so on.
Because there's a fundamental aspect of it that doesn't seem to be mentioned when it comes to being wrongfully accused of something, and when you're writing a story about that. You need to analyze the power structures behind that accusation and the consequences of those accusations. And if that stuff goes unanalyzed, then it's hopeless. It's like it's really it's a despair thing. Like you're being wrongfully accused by people who have more power than you and who will punish you, and you have no hope by yourself of doing things. And if you don't analyze the power structure in a story about that, you're living it half told. And obviously this is like centuries old wizard schools, so there's a lot of and also it's Britain, so there's a lot of unanalyzed power structures there to go through.
So
is there? I mean, you don't know what happens in the story.
I don't, but it sounds like
it might be a bit of a leap.
So I'm obviously not done with it yet, and I don't mind the spoiler, but like.
Is that where the story goes?
Spoiler alert for Harry Potter 2.5 hours in. Just in case you missed the hints.
Is that how Voldemort always looked? Has he always looked like that?
No, I think the Horcruxes did that to him.
Okay, so that's like...
You know what a Horcrux is yet? Because he splintered his soul into 7 pieces, and that's why he can't die.
Yeah, I get that.
And so those parts of his soul are in objects, which turned out, the diary turned out to be one of them retroactively, which was definitely retconning, but whatever. Just like how one of the Deathly Hallows turns out to be the invisibility cloak that he's had the whole time. There's definitely some retcons going on. And every time you fracture your soul, you have to kill somebody to do it. So it's like there's like resonant storytelling going on there. But I think over the course of that, he became less and less human looking.
Okay, and I thought it was like
deeper and deeper down the snake motif. No, because you know what he looked like. Because he's Tom Riddle.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, second book, that the evil spirit attacking him is the part of his soul that's in the Horcrux ever since he was in Hogwarts. So it's you see young Voldemort because that's the villain of the second book.
Oh, okay. Because when he
is the Horcrux.
Because when like he turned into a witch's brew, I guess he kind of just merged.
When he was a little gremlin boy.
Yeah, when he was like the little gremlin, and then he like got thrown in the pot, and the pot just kind of like turned into him. He came out and he was like touching himself, and he's like happy. He's like and I'm like, is this normal? Like it looks like it failed. It looks like it fucked up
like
royally.
That before he turned into a gremlin boy.
But he wasn't so
like
sorry.
That originally.
Like, God, poor guy, dude. He has no hair, no nose. He has like barely a chin. His chin's kind of like very weak, and like I just feel so bad for him. I'm sure there is wizard plastic surgery because they have that with that funny juice and polymorph juice. You can just drink some of that and go look pretty or something. But like
polymorph juice only lasts an hour.
An hour would do wonders for this guy's self-esteem.
Tonks who can change their appearance at will.
Okay, well, there you go. Learn that magic. I'm sure he can take some time and learn it.
I think you have to be born that.
Oh, I'm sure there's some old magic spell that you can use.
Just be that from birth.
I bet you there's a spell that you can take people's magic abilities when you kill them or something. It's a wizard.
Like what is this?
Heroes?
Yeah. You could just you could just basically.
Reference.
You could basically just like, I don't know, it's probably some ancient wizard spell where it's like, if you kill a person who has a special ability like a werewolf or changing your face, you can just take that from them or whatever, but they have to die. And you're like, oh no, what a sacrifice to make. Thanks for being a werewolf. Like, I don't know. Either way. The point I'm making is
I'm really sad there's a dark tinge to this entire universe now because of its creator being a piece of shit, because I just genuinely am having fun talking about Harry Potter. It's so cartoonish. I just genuinely enjoy like the universe and all of its stupid weird quirks and its fun little stories, and it had a handful of things that were a bummer, but then it became a super bummer recently.
I'm trying to be nice, and like I did see like 1 through 5, and I saw 6 as well. So I'm just like one movie away from finishing this.
2, because they split the last book into 2 movies.
I'm one movie away from finishing this. Just because you split it into 2 doesn't mean you get to make it 2 movies. It's just it's just one movie cut in half.
Yeah,
so
kind of.
it's still
It kind of I mean, it's one arc from one book technically. If you do the Kill Bill approach,
because it's part 1, part 2, which means it's still one whole movie just cut into 2, just like Avengers is or whatever.
Distinctly,
that's the way
7's my favorite, so I latch onto that a little bit because 8's just kind of like a giant cathartic action sequence for an entire movie.
But in the same movie,
I like road trips.
I thought it was really funny that they. I really thought it was funny that the plan was to like get Harry to take the prophecy and just give it to them. I guess they assumed he would bring his friends or whatever, but like it is really like leaning heavily on the hope that he brought his friends. But like if he had come alone and just had that prophecy and they're like, all right, Harry, give that to me. I'll tell you all about why you're ugly. And he'd be like, no, and just drop it on the ground. And what's he going to do? He's going to be like, well, that plan didn't go very well. Like I don't know. Like I'm wondering like at what point did someone sit down, talk about the plan, and like, did Voldemort know about this plan? Because I feel like he would have been like, I don't think this is a good idea. Don't let Harry touch the prophecy because it's gonna go real bad. Like if Harry that boy touches it, he's don't let him. He will throw it on the ground. He does everything on the ground. Don't do that.
Gets broken around
does everything on the ground.
What?
Right? Everything.
I'm not
does.
a part of your system.
Harry literally like did his best to hold on to that thing, only to be like, no. It's like, man, what the like? I don't know. I mean, also, you know, Malfoy's dad is like a fucking clown. The dude like just fails every single.
His eyebrows don't match his hair.
Every single step he takes
got the
is like
Daenerys effect that bothers me. I'm like, I don't think that's how hair looks. I think your eyebrows are supposed to match your hair, from what I've seen.
No,
yeah,
some people have darker roots, and then
he has such dark eyebrows from I remember, just like Daenerys Targaryen did, because that actress has brown hair.
Because she's not blonde, yeah.
Yeah. He's such a little shit. He's such an evil little shit. At the end of the second movie, he's just gonna stab a child. He's like, fuck it, I give up. I'm gonna stab this child. And if Dobby didn't come in, he would have just stabbed a kid. That's apparently what he was planning.
I mean, that's a plan. That's certainly a plan you can have. It is very impressive that wasn't the first option. Like, he knows where he sleeps. It's not like Harry's hiding. He goes to the same school every day and sleeps in the same building every day. I'm assuming the same bed every day. Mm-hmm. You could just, I don't know, you go get that. There's one invisibility cloak. I'm sure there's a potion of invisibility. Just invisible yourself up, sneak on in there, and yoink, and just stab him right in the heart. But done. And that's
a little bit
but
like
again,
the
whole point is this guy is like a complete utter klutz. Like, this dude cannot. I don't even know how he like graduated from magic school, but he somehow did. But Malfoys are just like embarrassingly pathetic at everything that they do, and it's just really fun.
Have you ever watched a series of unfortunate events?
I think I have.
That's the one with the.
Oh, no. That's sorry. I was thinking of something else. No, I have not seen that.
Because given the context here, I'm just like I'm curious how your tolerance would be for watching an entire franchise about one Neil Patrick Harris just kind of like systematically wiping out like a dozen people that seem just bizarrely incapable of just fighting back or something. Like, he's just slowly murdering them all one by one. It's like, how does he always get away with it? Because it's like I'll never process that this is like a children's story, and that's like part of the mood of it or whatever. Because like it's just it's like a tolerance thing where it's like that's kind of like just baked into the premise. Like, why doesn't the story end with someone just stabbing this child to death in their bed? Why does it have to revolve around like a magic like a prophecy stone where they try to steal his soul or something? Like, nah, just stab the child, use a gun, go for it. Like, it's like, well, at some point, it would be kind of
funny. It would have been really funny if like Harry brought a gun to the wizard world, and next time Voldemort showed up, he's like, I'm gonna get you, Harry. He's like, fuck that, clock. He's like, well, I've been dead for 300 years. What is that you have in your hand? Like,
it's a Glock.
And like I said, I get it. I went into the premise of
Harry
I went
Potter
in
gonna
watching
have to
these.
drop someone.
I went into these movies knowing that they're children's movies, so I'm not expecting like, stellar stellar outcomes here. I get that like it's gonna have to be the most like grown heavy extendor, like, oh yeah, of course that's how that ended. Or like, like I again, I'm gonna assume the movies are just doing a bad job of it, but I think that the dialogue between Harry and his friends are not good, are very bad dialogue. A lot of it is genuinely, the majority of the movie is Harry quietly sitting there saying fuck all, and someone else saying something and then going, Harry, you fucking asshole. And Harry's like, what? Like, like, it's literally like anytime, like there was a time he was sitting there in the library. It's like Ron and Hermione are arguing to each other, and Harry's just sitting there. He's just not saying a single word, reading a book, quietly sitting there. And Snape just comes over and beats the shit out of Harry. And I was like, what did fucking Harry do?
Well, that's
like,
a
he's
turn.
just sitting there.
He's still James's son, which is unforgivable.
I know, but I'm saying like, but this happens like in multiple instances. Like he's just like, he's just sitting there, and usually it's Ron. Ron just gets like too fucking uppity, and it's Harry just gets
they made
dragged
Ron
down with
pretty
him.
angsty in the movies in a way that wasn't entirely
Ron,
accurate.
I'm gonna go. I don't want to be rude, but Ron's an incel, and I will not change
There's
my
also
mind
like
about that.
There's a video by
he's
Quinn Curio,
weird.
I think, that discusses like the differences between book and movie Ron, because like specifically there's like scenes where Ron is supposed to explain things, but they took almost every scene where he's ever the person that knows something and replaced it with Hermione knowing it instead, but kept all the parts where Ron is inept or a mess and then added more parts. So he's like way more of an idiot and also like aggressive and so on in the movies, and he's kind of like more frustrating across the board in a way that wasn't the
he's
books.
like he's like a weird piece of shit. And
like one of the biggest mistakes in the movies that's like actively like this doesn't make sense necessarily is Hermione explains what a mudblood is, and it's like, but you're not from the wizarding world. Like the premise of that scene in the book was that like what sounds like a racial slur or something gets used against Hermione from Malfoy, and she doesn't know what it means, but she knows that something's wrong basically. And so like literally between slugs that he's hurling up, Malfoy, Ron is explaining what this thing is, like in that scene, but instead he's just like comedy relief puking slugs while Hermione explains racism to us. Because she just knows everything in every scene, no matter what.
I feel bad for her. That poor character is just like
She has to know everything in every scene.
Dude, she is literally the pillar for that like entire friend group, I guess. Like it.
The only reason that they ever succeeded anything.
Yeah. Like Harry, I guess technically Harry does do stuff, but I think most of his success is by luck. Like, and he's not really like capable until like the story needs him to be, because the majority of the time he's like really a doofus.
Yeah.
And Ron is just like, again, in the movies, I don't know I have never read the book and never will. Ron is just like criminally bad at everything he does. Just like he can literally set fire to anything just by touching it with no fire around. Like, I don't know how he does it. Like, he talks to a person, it goes bad. He looks at a person, it goes bad. He reads a book, it goes bad. I don't know what he does, but he's got some kind of curse on him. And then Hermione's just over here like, I'm going to do everything. I'm good at magic. I know everything about every aspect of the entire world. I have people skills, so I can communicate with other people and not have them hate me. I'm also like, what is it? I also apparently don't have any racism in me, so I'm well, that's not true. She has like the weird, she still seems, or no, I guess that's not true. She did also want to go and free the She did want to go and free the goblin
That's one
slaves.
of the weird. I was trying to think of like what some of the really weird elements of the story are, and one of them is the fact that she like wants to free the elves from their slavery, and the narrative everyone's like, "That's weird. You're annoying and wrong, Hermione." And actually, the elves love working. And it's like, this is a really weird fucking thing to put in your story, J.K. What the fuck?
It was also weird that they agreed with her. Like the elves did want to stay.
Yeah, no, it's big. Like, we should process how all these Pokemon like violence are getting in violence so much. No, they love it. Like that Black and Blue story where you're like, explaining it made it worse.
Anyways, she is basically what
we gotta wrap up. Though, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Basically, I feel bad because out of the three, Hermione is what should have been the main character, and everyone else can just kind of like. But it's funny. It's very funny to me that like watching them interact with each other. It's really like a lot of it is between Harry and Ron because obviously they live in the same place and they kind of just hang out all the time. And like their interactions are really boring. Like there's not anything good going on there, and Harry's really like short and I don't know, like just snippety about everything. Like he just doesn't have time to really talk about anything, even though he like clearly needs to just tell somebody what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I made the mistake of telling Effie that we'd probably be ready in half an hour from now. So
sorry.
I thought we were gonna wrap this up like an hour ago. I'm like, oh fuck,
anyways,
there's no breaks. There's no breaks that I can like end it in.
So maybe next time, one day.
Just tell the ending of the Harry Potter story.
Harry Potter wins.
Because,
whoa.
Well, yeah, Harry Potter wins.
Wait,
he wins every time.
Is he not done?
Yeah, it's over.
What?
He hasn't seen the last
finished it.
ones yet.
I haven't seen the last one.
Oh, right. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen the last one, but he always wins. Like, everything. He wins everything he does. Like anytime he shows them in a competition,
there is a surprising body count, but Harry Potter wins.
Well, that's pretty normal for like even shonen anime is like, wow, the main character did it with a fucking line of corpses behind them.
Like a lot of my favorite characters died, including some of them off camera. Like literally, like you're like surveying the carnage and the aftermath. It's like, oh fuck, my favorite character's dead.
I know it's not true, but I really hope that like the 7th movie part 2 has like a who we lost. And it just shows like a picture of all the wizard casts and it just like X's over them. Yeah,
like it's the graduation year of the school.
And it just shows all the ones that died.
In the arms of angel.
I want him on his stupid little owl podium. Dumbledore up there. Oh wait, never mind.
I'm sorry. Just remember
that's what you can call the podcast.
All right, we gotta go and just gotta walk his dog and eat or something and probably be late for the it's a struggle. I thought we'd be ready. I thought we'd be ready at 6. No, but
make it 7 every time.
But that reduces how much we can get done. I'm trying so hard to finish these podcasts in time that we can start at 6 like we planned, so we don't take 3 years to beat the next expansion of Final Fantasy 14. It significantly cuts down how long the session is if we're late.
Maybe if those cutscenes weren't fucking 40 hours long.
They are the game. There's like 30 seconds of gameplay per 4 hour stream.
And it's not even fucking gameplay we can do together half the time. It's gameplay we have to do
alone. We gotta go. Everyone, good night, goodbye. Was not expecting today's podcast to be a lukewarm defense of Harry Potter, but there it is.